it for a second, pause it for a second, pause it for a second.
I love Tesla. I love Tesla. Everything's computer. Oh, that's beautiful. Wow. That's beautiful. This is a different panel than I've had. Everything's computer. That's beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, it's just a brake and an accelerator.
I don't want to.
Give Secret Service a heart attack.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Can you start it?
Should I? I'll start.
Yeah. Oh, it's. So, do you want to actually drive it?
You don't want me to drive it, do you?
I saw Biden do a.
I'll tell you, it could be.
Once in the Jeep.
Yeah, but
Very easy to drive.
that's you're the only one that saw it.
So it's like driving a golf cart, basically.
Very simple.
It's very simple. So it's literally like a golf cart that goes really fast. There's no gears.
This is really amazing. It's really amazing. Let's take a look at it. Think Biden could get into that car? I don't think so. I love Tesla.
Hello, humans. Welcome to your power report for this Thursday, the 13th of March, 2025. I am Dan. I am joined by C's and Bam. Lots to get to this week. We have some of these news stories that you could probably sum up in like a minute or so, but nevertheless, we're gonna stretch them out, lay them out on the bed long, thighs wide. How y'all doing?
Stretch them out. Pause. Who was that basketball player that got in trouble for saying that? He was like, "Yeah, LeBron really stretched us out." Pause. Who was that? Was that some basketball from the Pacers?
What's funny is I think I saw a clip of James Harden saying it like yesterday, and I'm like, I guess you could just say it now because he just said it yesterday or something.
That's funny.
I think in 2025, men gotta drop pause and either go all in or just say the slur.
People are like, you know what? That is a good one.
Do all three.
And get a free gift card at Chippendales. They still have those? No? I just aid myself? Okay. Pause. This is lots going on domestically, internationally. I kind of want to start, I guess, a little bit internationally. I guess this goes to I think it's worth grounding how out of step America is with the overall consensus of the world when it comes to the Israel-Palestine conflict, especially. I wanted to play this clip of an Irish member of parliament speaking on Benjamin Netanyahu. This is like way from November of 2024, to be fair, but like I think this is just contextualization for some of the events that are happening in America right now.
I hope that Benjamin Netanyahu burns in hell.
Forgive the music over it, but
To see me them children and their families burned. I hope him and his generals and the Pharaoh government in Israel that when their God finally brings him to the resting place, that he deserves to burn in hell. Because what is happening now, not alone is it apartheid, not alone is it atrocity in the war, friend. It's just horrific.
you get the idea. We're like, there are people in Ireland, like in polite terms, they're saying Benjamin Netanyahu is going to burn in hell for the atrocities that have happened, that have been live streamed for a lot of people on social media, that people have seen not covered in a lot of traditional media and a lot of the Western world. And I want to let Bam and C's jump in here before we get into kind of the American response to what has been happening stateside this week. But kind of before I jump into that, we've gone a couple like directions here with the Israel stuff, so I want to let y'all get in.
I mean, hell's not real, so I think Ben's gonna be all right on that front. But I mean, Netanyahu, like, to compare that to what I don't think like Israel doesn't have much of a lobby in Ireland. I doubt. And hopefully it stays that way, because if Israel does get a lobby there, then you won't be able to say that over there, just like you can't say it here, no matter how you feel. And sadly, like probably the people that would get elected to office, thinking about nowadays, they would just they would just be like, the influences that are rampant now, they would just be saying, I hope the Jews burn or some shit like that. But anyway, yeah, that guy's got it right. Hopefully Netan burns in hell for what he's done and been a part of. Let's throw George Bush in there. Every invader, let's throw them all in there, and Caesar.
Invading. I thought I was allowed to come here. It's like I think I agree with Miss Kaylee in the chat that said, "Are you sure this isn't hell?" Like, I don't know. Might be it right now. So I don't know.
Not for Netanyahu, that's for sure. He's basically living in a version of that AI video that was made about Trump and Gaza.
I'm sure Netanyahu's life sucks. I don't envy him.
I really don't think he's over there just drinking.
I don't envy him at all.
He's having a good time.
His life's on pins and needles every day.
I think people that seek to destroy the lives of others, like they'll never find that happiness they're looking for. Like he's not vibing right now. I'm pretty sure his shit is just like on edge. I can't even imagine how you sleep. Like you got to be thinking like any minute someone might just assassinate you in your sleep. So it's like, that was in a video game, by the way. I don't know. Times are funny right now. I don't want to go back. Hey, I just got freed. That was in a video game, by the way.
I'm gonna stop us right there.
Before we get into the domestic side of this situation, can I make two observations about my friends on the right and the left? Can I just point out that it's like 60 degrees and Caesar got that fan on for some reason back there? I don't. Does it not turn off?
I'm using it until Canada cuts us off.
Okay, and Dan really over here got the Las Vegas Golden Knights T-shirt. Where do you find that at?
That is that is a good call out. I want to really, Dan. I would love to hear a great reason why you're wearing a Las Vegas Golden Knights tank top and not an Ice Dogs one. Go ahead. Yeah, a sleeveless cutoff. Why are you not wearing a Long Beach Ice Dogs? That's what I want to know.
Deep cut there.
That's a very deep cut. Because the 2023 Stanley Cup champion, Las Vegas Golden Knights. Let me just say that. Respect on my name.
I almost threw up, but go ahead.
No, I tend to turn most of my oversized shirts into cutoffs after a while. And yeah, I randomly chose an expansion team, just like I randomly chose, like, you know what? I'm going to put all my chips into the Oklahoma City Thunder. And you know what? They haven't necessarily delivered, but they've brought back good results. Okay. It's not like the Indiana Pacers.
Okay.
No, the betrayal of Seattle was when their fuck ass mayor made a joke about the Supersonics coming back to the city during like some address about, cutting city services to people in Seattle. But like that was the brevity in the middle. It was like
that's grounds for impeachment.
Announcement. Just kidding. That's grounds for. Anyways, let's go to the real grounds for impeachment here. Yeah, we're speaking not even 2 full months into Trump's administration, and he's already pushing the limits. Already is kind of an understatement, but yet again, and probably the most brazen way he has so far, pushing the limits of the First Amendment and freedom of speech, freedom of expression, using the government to supersede, using the executive branch rather, to supersede all existing law, all existing precedent. The tradition in the West of college campuses being places where you have freedom of expression. Now, I'm going to come back to that, especially my experience on the record with me being against freedom of speech on college campuses. So I think that's an interesting twist here, and I stand by it. But this is a clear First Amendment rights violation because it is the government, the federal government, not people, but the federal government who is deciding that not only is the speech dangerous, but the speech is, according to the Secretary of State, using a statute that was used to deport Eastern European Jews in the 1950s from the United States on suspicion of communism, using that same precedent from the 1950s in order to disappear, not just like, deport, not just arrest, but disappear Mahmoud Khalil from New York, the Southern District of New York, which is the jurisdiction that he would have been under, to Louisiana, which, if, stereotypes with Louisiana aside, but the like Central Texas, Louisiana, I think there's another state court within there, like district within that court. It's the most right-wing court there is. That's why all of these tech companies are moving their businesses so that they are covered by that court, because whatever quasi, let's just say like basically illegal thing you want to do that just has, a conservative's stamp licked on it, you're most likely to get it through that court. And so thankfully, you are seeing a lot of courts start to nut up here when no other institutions are. You've gotten the judge basically extending the ban on the deportation, saying that in the New York federal court, Trump's people have to speak up for this and say, like, okay, give us an actual reason beyond just this, you trying to randomly pull up this random statute from the 1950s to say you can deport this person. There are people from Colombia who are protesting outside of that courthouse. The Columbia University,
Jewish people protesting.
Yes. A lot of the organizers, in fact, many more of the organizers, not just because of any particular reason other than just like population in the United States, but many of the organizers in Columbia, at New York University, at a lot of these other schools on Manhattan and across the country and around the world, frankly, many of the organizers were Jewish anti-Zionists, which is just like right here dangling for all of these Democrats to say like, oh, here's what we can stand on it. But there's more of like instead of like a so what, like a why I want to get to on this, but just initial thoughts and reactions to some of these points here. But yeah, I do want to read one last thing before we get into it. This is Chuck Schumer's response. He's the Democratic leader here, saying, I abhor many of the opinions and policies that Mahmoud Khalil holds and supports, and have made my criticism of the anti-Semitic actions at Columbia loudly known. Mr. Khalil is also a legal permanent resident here, and his wife, who is 8 months pregnant, is an American citizen. While he may be in violation of various campus rules regarding how the protests were conducted last year, that is a matter for the university to pursue, and I have encouraged them to be more robust in how they combat anti-Semitism and maintain a harassment-free campus that protects the safety and security of Jewish and other students. Trump's DHS must articulate any criminal charges, blah, 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 blah. Basically saying, we accept the premise, based on no evidence whatsoever, that Mahmoud Khalil has engaged in any anti-Semitic actions. We accept that premise that the Republicans are giving us, that he has not, protesting against the genocidal actions of Israel during at least since October 7th, 2023, but there's a lot of history to go back before then. That's well within freedom of speech. Flag burning is well within freedom of speech. Burning the Quran is within freedom of speech. Burning the Bible is within freedom of speech. All right? This is America. My president is orange. His Tesla is red. This is how we're supposed to roll in this country. This is how these right-wingers have been popping off for 10 years, griefing, literally trolling about freedom of speech on college campuses. So I'm not surprised to see a weak response from Chuck Schumer. Still, Republicans deserve a lot of, scorn for being this hypocritical right now. Democrats deserve a lot of scorn for missing this moment when people's lives are at stake and on the line, because I think it's one like Jewish activist was speaking, and this is where I'll stop here. He was like, the poem about first they came for so and so, and then there's no one there to speak up for me. It's a short ass poem, okay? Like, it's real quick, and you know, it's gonna be how many people whose First Amendment rights is Donald Trump gonna take away before you know, it's not just university students halfway through their semester protesting in the streets, but it's, you know, Mario Savio style Gears in the Machine. We're stopping this country until we get our rights secured. At least the Democrats acting like it. And another thing, no. What are y'all thinking?
I mean, I think like starting off, we talked a lot there. I think starting off, I would say that it's really telling and heartbreaking to see both sides of this, like in terms of how for a lot of like popularized conservative talking points and right-wing talking points and people discussing and, you know, being very pro-Nazi and supportive of like hateful ideology that deems to actually directly like and put actions towards like murdering and hurting Americans every day. That is not ever seen as grounds of deporting somebody in this country, regardless of your citizenship. That's still considered freedom of speech. It's all good. But the minute we have something like this, now all of a sudden we're justifying deporting someone who's literally a citizen. I myself had a green card also. Of course, I think I don't know for everybody, but I've had, when I was a kid, my mom would, you know, give you the conversation like growing up, or you know, you're gonna become a man, you know, just be on your good behavior because you never know, like they could do something like that. Now, when she told me that, I thought that was so ridiculous. And you're like, what are you talking about? What could you ever do that is gonna kick you out of the country? What the heck? Like, I mean, you're young, but like to like see it in action.
Then she got you a podcast mic
like
for Xbox Live.
Yeah, she's like, I heard you on Call of Duty last night, and your days are numbered. No, I was just like, I just couldn't imagine it ever seeing it in real life. And then when you see it from Mahmoud, like that's crazy. Like there's nothing, I can't see this ever being a reason to do it, and especially when there's never been any kind of solidified evidence towards any like terrorist actions legitimately. It's absolutely disgusting, and this is going to go to a place in America that only seems to be worse. So like this is not trending well if something like this actually goes through, and I really hope it works out. Now when it comes to response, I think like the last thing in this world I'd ever be shocked. Honestly, I'd be shocked if Chuck Schumer was being like, this is ridiculous. This is like this. I'd be like, what? Chuck Schumer? What the heck? I didn't know you actually had like a coherent thought process about things now. So to see him basically echo like right-wing sentiments and what Republicans are doing is not shocking to me. Of course, I do wish, you know, I went on social media and I was looking for at least some statements from some Democrats that I really do support. I was hoping they would say something more in the lines of, if they can't be direct about it, at least imply that, you know, they're vehemently against this. But it sucks. I think it sucks. And I do see people online, you know, doing a lot of debates on some of these, even legacy media shows, like they're doing a lot of debates, but I still would like to see a little more pushback, especially from people that I support the Democratic Party. I'd really hope for some damn pushback on this.
Well, I mean, I think that Chuck Schumer did push back. I mean, he's saying that it goes against the First Amendment. I mean, he's a Zionist on a level, Chuck Schumer. And so he's going to have his, you know, incorrect opinions on whatever Mahmoud Khalil did on the campus of Columbia. But regardless, you can disagree with whatever he's protesting and still say he can't get deported, though, for that, because he did not commit a crime. And like he was saying, that's whatever he did that may have gone against Columbia University's policies for protests. That's for them to decide. It ain't like he got arrested for it. And yeah, like it's not even a big deal. We did protests at San Diego State that we weren't authorized to do all the time.
Like I thought that was more of a penal code issue than like.
Yeah, I mean,
really-
nothing even happened. Like they just like, are you guys done yet? Like
Yeah.
that's it. And even Mahmoud Khalil's role was more of like, I mean, he did organized protests, but he also would do like dialogues and things like that.
He was essentially like a negotiator.
Yeah,
He would be
so-
a peace negotiator whenever you would have counter demonstrations, demonstrations between the pro-Palestinian side, which included Jews, and the pro-Israeli side.
exactly. But I think when it comes to what the Trump administration's showing with this action, that thankfully the court has blocked for now. I would imagine it will stay that way. Is like he's showing his level of appeasement to the like Zionist movement, um, like I've said a million times, like any American administration is gonna send weapons to Israel. That's like part of the deal. But to go as far as to say we're gonna try to deport people that protest against Israel, like that's a whole nother level game changer. Or deport people that aren't citizens, I guess, that protest against Israel. Like that's on a whole nother level.
Can I ask you a quick question, Bam?
Yeah.
You said that like Schumer's response was, decently enough. Like he was, and you said that, what can you expect from Schumer? He's a Zionist through and through. But other people, and of course, these are the usual suspects for people who will at least willing to express from time to time, they'll have a conscience, at least rhetorically, if not in their votes. But Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, these are people who have directly tied the link between what's happening to Khalil and what is happening or what could potentially happen to other U.S. permanent residents, other green card holders, other students, other, full-blown ass U.S. citizens. Trump was talking about getting rid of natural born citizenship. And I think early on the administration even tried to a little bit. And even the court was like, hey, okay, right? So, my question being, could Schumer have gone a little bit further there?
I mean, I guess he could, but I mean, I think that I'm aware.
I mean, he's a leadership, so like, should he? I know he's a Zionist, but like, okay.
Well, no. Well, I mean, he could or should, but like, I mean, we know his politics. He is an Israel supporter. Like, I'm not really aware of what exactly Mahmoud Khalil said or did, whatever. That's not even important. Even if he did go up there and say anti-Semitic things, that's not grounds for deportation. Like, so it doesn't even matter. Like, whether Chuck Schumer thinks he did or if he did, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, he should not be getting detained by ICE and shipped to Louisiana and up for deportation because of that. Like you said, we have a First Amendment. You can say whatever the hell you want. Like, he is not violating the law, and he didn't violate Columbia University's policies enough for them to arrest him while those things were happening. He's just like the figurehead, I guess, for like this movement. I don't know, somebody dropped dime on him.
They used him as an example. Just today, Columbia University, just to add some context, they released a statement that they sent to students first because the press gets it, it'll be a problem. Because never, a student could never talk to the press or anything, which is relatively agreeable. But anyways, they basically said that they had suspended, expelled, or temporarily revoked diplomas of dozens of students who had occupied, one of the campus buildings and renamed it Hens Hall after a Palestinian who was, affected by the most recent, part of the conflict. And
that was the girl that's the girl that Macklemore wrote a song about.
Yeah. And basically the university said its judicial board had issued sanctions against students based on its evaluation of the severity of behaviors. So again, this is and like at Berkeley we did this all the time because most buildings get named after people who did fucked up shit.
Right.
Like, most of the time, especially old buildings on old college campuses full of liberal ass students learning why those exact with professors who are teaching them why those exact same names have issues. And those will be the conservative professors. They just like find some irony in it because that's how it used to be. But yeah, they, to your point, like they very clearly used Khalil as an example here.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a shame. I mean, it's getting like a lot of things that Trump is trying to do. It's getting like blocked by the courts. It's getting blocked by like the judicial system. I'm sure that's very frustrating for Donald Trump, but yeah, luckily there's some people with, at least so far, there's some people with some sense of integrity, and we're not just being governed by the whims of the current president. But at the same time, they're also so dumb because you're really turning Mr. Khalil up more. Like you're just making his celebrity even that much bigger. Like he's gonna if and when he gets out of this situation, he's making the rounds after that. Like you're making him into like a much bigger voice.
He's up like Luigi.
Right. Like he's not like there, but he's getting there, So yeah, like it's really dumb. But at the same time, I do feel like it's a warning shot, kind of, because let's say that Mahmoud Khalil goes back and he's fine. Let's say like they try this again and it's the same effect. Like you get detained and, maybe you get transported somewhere, but after 2 weeks, you get to go back home. People are not going to want to go through that, because maybe you might be the one that doesn't get to go back home. So I think they're trying to put fear in the hearts of protesters and people that do civil disobedience, but it's not going to work.
It may not. C's, any other words before I wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, I think man brought up a great point, especially like I would say 10% of the people knew this individual before, that they know now. It's like now this man has like he's gonna be talking everywhere, he's gonna have a face, he's gonna be the scene, like they wanted to make they definitely are aiming for and want to make an example for him, but it also does paint another example also that like people are going to be like, hey, like this guy, roast this, they try to do this, he's going to be a symbol for a lot of people moving forward. And it only stokes I feel like you only stoke more rebellious nature of people if you just keep trying to like oppress them, push them down, silence them. It never works. It'll never work. So you're just going to fire these campuses more. Honestly, they might get more turned up after this. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm sorry. It just doesn't work that way. And I just think that article you put earlier, that email, like pausing or hacking the diplomas, that's unbelievable. Like, there's no way. Are you going to also give them full refunds too, or what? Like, because you just literally did a rug pull. Like, what the hell?
I'm showing on screen right now really fast. I'm showing Trump Tower filled with a lot of Jewish anti-Zionist and like non-Jewish anti-Zionist protesters who are holding signs like saying like resisting fascism is in the Jewish tradition and free Mahmoud, free Palestine, etc.
Yeah, and this is the thing too. Like I feel like even like the university taking those actions against students, like that's why you get out there in the streets. Like you don't get out there just to like you're not getting out there because it's easy. Hopefully, you're getting out there to make a change and have an effect, and it might happen to you too. But you're taking that risk, and you're there for that. So a lot of times those actions can backfire against institutions or countries, even because it's like, okay, well, we're going to reprimand you for whatever you did that wasn't even like that crazy, and then it galvanizes the people more. So I'm proud of those students who did enough to make the university pay attention. That's what you get in the streets for.
100%. Now, I've heard a valid. I don't even say that much. All right, but I've heard a criticism about the work that had been done in the 2010s. Now, there's a lot of like rewriting happening about the 2010s. Like even a lot of leftists are like, wow, we lost that period because it was all Gamergate and Me Too and Black Lives Matter and cancel culture and all of these different things. It's like,
what?
Yo, like y'all are acting like we were born yesterday or worse, like 2 years ago. Every single one of these things, from like, the backlash to quote unquote Gamergate, which, was a backlash to why does my video game not have the polygon titties that it used to? We're like, ooh, how come they replaced this character in the 10th version of a video game? This like side character you only interact with for like 30 minutes in a 17-hour game. How come they're Hispanic now? Like, it was like all of these fake sort of stories you had. And it was astroturfing. It's the idea of you have grassroots where it's real and you have a real movement coming from the ground to help it. And then you have astroturfing, which is fake grass. It's fake grassroots. And so they would do, I remember because I was crazily enough treated this as a political beat. There would be this game where, Turning Points USA or Dennis Prager or any of these other nascent right-wing groups at the time in the early 2015s would push Milo Yiannopoulos or Candace Owens or Ben Shapiro or Charlie Kirk or any of these other like right-wing agitators to come onto campuses. And then you would have these campuses, you have students respond and go, hey, when you come to these campuses, just so happens, but there seems to be a pattern of white supremacists and neo-Nazis coming onto these college campuses where whether you care about this rally or you don't, if you're just walking to your class and you're used to your campus being, a college campus, but whatever it is, and one day you start to see someone who's like, God hates F words, or they're wearing Klan hoods or outfits like that, like Jews will not replace us while you're walking to class. Whether you care or know about Ben Shapiro, Jew defender or not, who has those type of people at his rallies, that's going to affect your college experience. And so college kids would protest this and they would go, we don't want this on our campus. We're going to protest this. These are just like, nascent examples of the First Amendment in action. And these conservatives would turn around and go, our First Amendment is being violated. The government is interfering with our free speech. And it wouldn't work most of the time because this would be on private campuses, but they would try to extend it whenever it happened on a public campus, like, UC Berkeley is a public university to the University of California, which doesn't take all that much federal funding. I mean, it takes a decent amount, but it's kind of marginal. Like it's a state-funded institution, along with, I'm not going to get into that story, right? But these conservatives spent the past 10 years conflating democratic actions, not actions by, it was never university faculty. No, university faculty were welcoming these fascists. They were welcoming these transphobes. They were welcoming these racists onto their college campuses. They were defending them. They were providing them with funding for extra security. They would change procedures that usually wouldn't be allowed for student organizations to allow student organizations to bring these people on. They would bend over backwards and roll down the red carpet for these conservatives. And these conservatives would turn around and go, our First Amendment is being violated. The Democrats are violating my free speech while Donald Trump is in office and as the president this first term, right? And so there's a politics of retribution that's happening right now. And I know there's a lot of people seen the Sam Cedar debate recently and they're wondering, okay, what's really going on here? Like, are people really this dumb? And what's going on here is that politics for a group of people who have only been raised on politics since the first Trump administration is a politics of retribution. And so there's no logic to people protesting a speaker versus the government stepping over the laws to silence a speaker. There's no difference in between that for people, because the government overreach and First Amendment argument was only an issue when they felt that their speech was being shut down. Now that their speech isn't being shut down, fuck a First Amendment. They don't care. Literally, what does the First Amendment mean? They didn't even know what it meant. They just thought, oh, that's a word I can say, and the liberals shut up. Right? Like, so
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
it's just a phrase I can say, like, oh, First Amendment, oh, freedom of speech, oh, the government can't tell me what to say. Like, these are just these buzzwords, these terms. And now they're in power. They're like, haha, you did it to us, so now we do it to you. That's politics to them. It's worse than team sports. It is a game of tag you're it, duck, duck, goose. Like, it's just, you got me back, I'm gonna get you back. Like, for this group of people, not everyone, but for a lot of people, and it's not even an age thing, but it's the people who are really ingrained into MAGA, who are like, my 401k is tumbling. Thank you, President Trump. Those people have a politics of retribution. They want to see their perceived political enemies suffer. And for them, that is good enough, even if they end up toothless, electricityless, jobless, and unhoused.
Yeah, and they'll call themselves patriotic. But that's right-wing ideology is hypocrisy and a politics of grievance and victimhood. They're making up that the government stopped Milo from speaking or whatever. That's not true. But what is true is that ICE is detaining this Mahmoud Khalil. Like, that's actually the government.
ICE is detaining like Turkish mothers who run restaurants in New Jersey, right? Like, you just saw a video of someone.
What's the grade? What's the grade? No, I'm joking.
They were like, you're seeing all these cases of people getting detained incorrectly by ICE, and similarly in this case with Mahmoud Khalil, like, I'll let you finish, Bam, maybe. But you had this case where they were like, oh, sorry, his green card's expired, and they're like, he's a permanent resident. This is not a green card, or this is not, like, like a temporary visa or whatever. And the ICE agent was like, the Windows XP shutdown noise, like, ding, 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 and was like, whatever, we just gotta make something up. Just, like, come with us anyways. It's like,
Right.
Our excuse didn't work, but we're gonna arrest you anyways. Like, that is the America we are definitely at right now. I mean, the PowerPoint saying has been the fascism is already here. Joe Biden was definitely prepared to do this in a lot of other different cases. Trump has alluded to the whole looting starts, shooting starts thing. So you've seen this, anti-protest sort of Tiananmen Square style Donald Trump for a minute now. Now he's seeing how far he can get away with it and what it looks like when he tries to get away with it and how he can learn to get away with it further next time. And that's the thing that worries me.
Well, not just Donald Trump. We've seen a lot of governors have, you can make it legal to run over protesters. And it will not be the tiki torch protesters. But yeah, the right-wing ideology is victimhood and grievance and hypocrisy. And yeah, and really just lies. Like I was saying, like, they just make stuff up. This person is getting detained for political reasons, and Milo is like, I mean, I don't know if he got to speak or not, whatever, but like, the students are blocking off the room so he can't speak, he's got to go home. Okay, that's student action, whatever. If you really wanted him to speak, just give him a mic outside. I don't know, but like, this person is getting detained actually by the government, but they will conflate the two because they are liars. Caesar.
It's really, when you hear that ICE is doing this, it makes you think, like, what's the real difference between the other 3-letter organization that ran through Russia? Like, ICE sounds like KGB. They're just pulling up and then grabbing people. And like you said, with bribery ideology, they act like, I'm saying or demonstrating what I want and protecting my ground, whatever I want, because that's my right. That's my amendment rights. I'm like, that's a two-way street. Like that means that even the people that don't have the same ideologies as you or don't have the same beliefs as you are able to have the same rights as you, especially when it comes to the Bill of Rights and protecting people just in America in general, like not even having to be a citizen. There's a certain amount of rights you have as just being a human walking on this land. So I don't the day we start flipping that just because this person is appease, some of the insane ideology you believe in, we're gonna have. I only think it's just gonna bring. Honestly, you're just gonna bring them more problems down the line with people. Like you're not. This is not like you're not gonna just like hush everybody into like following right wing ideology and order. Like this is like if it's already stopping at the courts. Like I don't know. That's why I get the most frustration out of this Trump campaign because it's honestly like at this point it's not even making any sense to me. Where it's like. You saw what happened when you were turned up last time and like what it led to. And yeah, you got out of it, but it clearly affected you and it took a lot to get out of there. And you got lucky a lot too, that you got out of some of that stuff, including with impeachment. Why speed run it this time? Why would the speed run be the move this time instead of like over time slowly, trying to implement these disgusting. It's weird that it just feels like very trigger happy. And I'm like, you're gonna burn out, homie. Like you're not built like this. Like you're gonna burn out.
Well, they have the whole government, and also, I mean, hopefully, he's not going to be president in 4 years or in 3 years or whatever. So it doesn't matter.
He's whiling,
but it might as well.
He's whiling, but like, I mean, even with some of the numbers we saw, even some of his billionaire homies ain't even making more money now. Like. Like you're whiling and people are getting broker, including your boys. Your boys are getting broker too. So, something's got to give.
I will say this:
the cat's feet up in the air. We are the same. I do the same thing. My cat is vibing right now. It's just upside down vibing.
I'm talking about the cat and paws. Anyways, there's just this last point, just to kind of get to like why this is happening. Democratic leadership. Again, this is always goes back to, this is a oddly recurring thing from the move by some liberal or left of center pundits to go from Trump is an existential danger to maybe we should get a beer at Mar-a-Lago together. Like there's a lot of people like that from, a lot of different parts of media. I'm not even targeting which one, even the one you think I'm talking about. There's multiple like that. From those people to actual elected Democrats, right? There has been a fundamental strategy issue with the idea that you can just continue placating Republicans and accepting their completely factless arguments. They will take a lie and, transgender mice and pump billions of dollars in paid and unpaid media for that in multiple languages around the world before the Democrats' tepid response was, actually, it was transgenic mice and it was a really important procedure because, like, you've almost got to ignore these little distractions. And when they get kind of close like this, like there's a lot of things the Democrats shouldn't have done when it came to the enabling Israel's war on Gaza. But a very specific thing was to not look at these internal college campus protests in the United States, because then it's a purely domestic issue, purely within the realms of the First Amendment, purely within, this nation's incredibly rich history of protests on college campuses against the United States government for international affairs. And instead of tapping into that, you had a bunch of Democrats who said, oh, well, these protests are anti-Semitic, but we're not going to go as far as the Republicans are going by, labeling them as such, or, we will, or we're going to sign onto this bill condemning anti-Semitism, or, all these other different things. Like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of Democrats who feel vulnerable because if they take a stand out from these things, they're going to be the only one with their neck out, and AIPAC's going to come with that knife. But that is a moment where, out of just pure electoral strategy, like forget morals, Chuck Schumer pretends to have morals, but supporting and enabling everything that's going on in the United States empire, especially with Gaza. No, they don't, right? But the reason why Muhammad Khalil is like, not Muhammad Khalil, but Mahmoud Khalil, racist Dan. But the reason why Mahmoud Khalil is in this situation is because Donald Trump and the Republican Party have put forth this idea that protesting the Israeli government in the United States is directly equivalent to anti-Semitism, and the executive branch, led by a Republican, is the pure adjudicator of that. But the Democrats, secondly, are complicit because there is no environment right now for them to step back on, for a Chuck Schumer to step back on, for him to have created in the past to say, there's a difference between protesting a foreign government and genuine hatred towards people who follow the Jewish tradition, who follow the Jewish faith. There was never any attempt by any Democrat to really set aside that difference. It was just, yes, we accept the Republican framing we accept the Ben Shapiro framing that anyone who's protesting on a college campus, anyone who's posting something on Instagram, anyone who even uses the word genocide is anti-Semitic right now. So I want to move on, just like kind of conclude on that point. But like that's why we're here. Donald Trump did this. The Republican Party laid this groundwork. Absolute ghouls like Ben Shapiro have made this messaging groundwork, since the 2017-2018 period. And Democrats' response was, well, gee, the last thing we want to do is called that. So whatever lie you've got, we're just going to believe it. It's so consistent with how they engage in politics, which is just to flip over and show your bellies like Caesar's kitten and not even put up a fight. So I know you're going to disagree. We'll talk about that later, but I want to get to
I'll let you have it, but I'll let you go ahead.
We talk for an hour. I'm trying to post better and get to some other stories here.
Yeah, I'll let you have it. Go ahead.
Okay. Can we talk about the trade war a little bit?
Your boy is wilding out. You know what? It's hard to even keep up with it now. Like,
before we do, I want to read some comments from the last story, actually. Before we fully move on.
Before I defend Chuck Schumer.
Jesus Christ. Lots of comments in the chat about different experiences in San Francisco. Apparently, some folks, Miss Kayla, you were around there when neo-Nazis crashed the Berkeley Farmers Market and were screaming about Marxism. Yeah, I was there, and I have a bunch of footage from that too. It was ridiculous, frankly. It's like
I put in there that they're screaming about Marxism. They really fell off, dude. You're a neo-Nazi. You're talking about you're supposed to be like beating people up and shit. Like, you're like, hey, Marxism bad. Like, please grow hair, dude. Like,
no, not even that. They're at the Berkeley Farmers Market, which is like, they're not even throwing down like the Oakland farm. The Berkeley Farmers Market are literally like, the hippies are grandmas now. And They still live in the same area, and they still go to the same street where they have the farmers market every weekend. And like, you're like, yeah, let's yell to you about cultural Marxism and the transgenders. Like, it's just, we used to fight wars. Men used to fight wars, and now
men used to war.
Like, how can you you read books and stuff, and you're like, I'm gonna be a neo-Nazi now. It's like, no, you're supposed to go to prison or some shit. Like,
reading about neo-Nazis in books and thinking that's the path is crazy work. I feel like you might actually just not know how to read, or something's definitely wrong.
You don't know how to neo-Nazi correctly.
You're not a neo-Nazi, right?
It's so ridiculous. I want to switch to my standing desk soon, but I will go to the story here. Yeah, there's so much to track. It's really hard to tell. There have been on again, off again tariffs on Chinese goods, Canadian goods, Mexican goods. Trump has walked in going, "Who made these deals? These deals with Canada and Mexico are so unfair," says the guy who in his first term created the US Mexico Canada trade agreement.
And said it's the
Like,
best
wait a
deal
minute.
ever.
He's like, what kind of idiot?
It's like
I did sign that.
whenever they switched executive producers between The Apprentice and The Celebrity Apprentice, it's like, who was that idiot who's on The Apprentice? There's an entire stupid team of people. Celebrity Apprentice, so much better. It's just like it's his, desire for the novelty. Absolutely. Night AC and Night Sachi, thank you for joining. But continuing with this, these on again, off again trade war moves where there's tariffs on European goods, there's wine from the European Union, there's automotive parts in Canada and Mexico, there's
Aluminum, steel, fucking everything
from China. This you got celebrities freaking out because all their celebrity tequila brands are now going to go through the roof. By the way, it's worth remembering. People forget this, but Elon Musk has a celebrity tequila brand, Tesla Tequila. So,
are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, doesn't he give you tequila for some reason? What's the reason again?
If you never mind, I'm not going to get TOS, but like, if you somehow embarrass and fillet yourself in front of Elon Musk or fillet him, maybe you'll get a bottle of the Tesla Tequila.
Yeah,
Is it still around?
It's old, like it's from like pre-COVID, but like I'm sure there's some bottles lying around.
That's
I remember that. They give it and they have like that Tesla symbol. The bottle's like a Tesla symbol or something. I remember that. It's so goofy.
I love in Silicon Valley. Again, like Mike Judge, one of the best satirists of American culture, from King of the Hill to Idiocracy, etc. There's this political there's this satirical billionaire he was playing as, and he had his own celebrity tequila called Tres Comas, for 3 commas as in billionaire.
That's hilarious.
And so anyways, that's all to say, if you have
I looked up the Tesla tequila. It's literally shaped like a lightning bolt.
yeah, it was some kind of symbol. I remember that. Yeah.
It's like a freaking lightning bolt emoji.
The same innovative design you've come to expect from Elon Musk.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I definitely remember this. It was like some kind of, I forgot it. It was like a deal or something, or if you refer or something, you get one. I forgot what it was.
They made an actual edition of the Tres Comas tequila from Silicon Valley.
Yeah. I remember that they mimicked this on Silicon Valley, the show. Yeah.
Bad Lefty with like the best joke about the Tesla tequila in the chat right now.
No, let me. I'll get to it later. Do you see it? Because some of the comments don't show up for me.
Oh, really? Okay. You got to put it on all.
I see it.
That's a very good one, Bad Lefty. That's hilarious.
No. Can you read it? Because I literally can't see it.
I'm not 2 lightning bolts and said it only comes in 2s.
That's painful.
Someone play the drum thing.
Inventing a bottle shape that requires a fucking stand. Yeah, that's
that's a bar too. That's like an educated bar.
Billionaires, they're not sending the best. Also, for folks saying live chat, not top chat, I'm not in YouTube. I'm in StreamYard, which shows chats in its totally different way. I should have a better setup with everything, but forgive me, I'm in the middle of moving. So anyways, there's this really I don't know. I'll let y'all get some thoughts in for a moment, but I thought I would kick us off with some, the White House press secretary of Women's History Month. I was being really careful here. As the White House press secretary, responding to some criticism about how tariffs fundamentally freaking work. And I'm not going to say she's wrong, but Trump is wrong.
If we could just step back for a second. When President Trump last addressed the VRT when he was on the campaign trail, his big push was on tax cuts. He's going there today as he's proposing tax hikes in the form of tariffs. And I'm curious
He's not
for
doing
why
that.
he's prioritizing that over the tax cuts.
He's actually not implementing tax hikes. Tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries that, again, have been ripping us off. Tariffs are a tax cut for the American people. And the president is a staunch advocate of tax cuts. As you know, he campaigned on no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security benefits. He is committed to all three of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have.
That's
They
it.
don't get charged on foreign companies. They get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade, which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you're trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press.
Jesus Christ.
Don't call me a bimbo. Don't call me a bimbo. I know what it's like when you miss the gift card at Sephora. Anyway,
There you call me stupid, even though I'm stupid. That's really crazy. I'm really offended by this.
It's really funny too, because it's like, okay,
is
if
Kirsten
you're-
Cinema her stylist? I'm sorry.
if this person is saying and repeating whatever Donald Trump is saying, that the tariffs are going to be so good for the country, then why the fuck does he back down from them every time? Why haven't they gone through? Because if they're going to be so good for everybody, why does he say we're going to do it and then they don't happen?
Please.
We're waiting for the tariffs then, right?
Do educate us, brilliant economist. I forgot, break it down for us.
Yeah, because if it's so good, then just do it. Like, why is there some kind of like, well, if they do this and this, that, just do it.
And if it's so good, how come every single country is like, don't do this?
And every economist is like, don't do it. Even the freaking Wall Street Journal is saying, don't do it. Like,
Yeah, your own people.
yeah, like it's obviously stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And every person with a brain knows how it works. But if you're right, lady with the terrible blouse, if you're correct, that you got your blouse made at Party City, and if Trump is correct, then just do it. Put the tariffs so we can benefit.
Her blouse looks like the little material that sit in them old chairs at like your grandma's house.
That
like
shit
those
got
stringy
plastic
chairs.
on it.
It
The
looks
problem
like
is this little like
on her shoulders. I'm like, is that like the chair fabric they had you sitting on?
the little like silver glitter button thing is just what
It's so 40s grandma coded. I just can't do it. This is an abomination.
We need to get the gays back in the White House because this is an abomination.
No gay would ever let her walk out like this. No way.
If it was long sleeved, Candace Owens would wear it.
Oh yeah. She would.
Candace don't be showing them biceps though. That's haram.
No, she knows she's too built to be a conservative and to show her arms, because then they'll start transvestigating her. Like they
again.
Again.
Can we do it?
No.
Is she grounds where
You have to wait till Hotep month for that.
Is that allowed?
No.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be really funny if you just.
Hey guys, don't log in this one. We're taking a hard right.
If you become so hated that people are literally allowed to just do horrible, vile, like use it against them themselves, that's great. I'm down. Candace deserves it.
Can I being a lefty contrarian is something I tend to enjoy very much, right?
We know that. We know that.
Oh God.
I'm not gonna attack anyone. I'm not gonna attack any political commentators by name here. I'm just gonna say that this is the perfect time for recalibration, and there's a lot of people who are throwing all of their faith behind non-political figures in the Democratic Party, which I think that's valid. I don't find a lot of faith in the Democratic Party for a Democratic elected right now. One of the people who has been, a lot of attention has been thrown towards are, the comedy sector. You have Jon Stewart, you have Bill Burr. We're not going to talk about that right now. Shawn Fain, United Auto Workers, especially during this tariff conversation, has gotten a lot of attention here. And his strategy has been, at least Dave Lindorf, who's an economist on these things, was on Democracy Now! And said something kind of interesting, which had me kind of looking at Shawn Fain going, damn, okay, I think you're missing the ball here, because you have such an opportunity being outside of the Democratic Party, being outside the Republican Party, and yet appealing to both. And having a set plan for how to mobilize and, practice mobilization from now until 2028. That, again, I'm going to be a harsh critic, and I'm going to be putting people up to a higher standard. And I think there was a missed opportunity in a lot of Shawn Fain's conversations around the tariffs, especially considering he is part of the United Auto Workers Union, and because of NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement under Bill Clinton, and because of the US-Mexico-Canada Agreement under Trump, you have a lot of ostensibly American companies who are finding that offshoring jobs, not that far, but, to Mexico or to Canada, where labor prices are cheaper, not insanely cheaper, but, at least in Mexico, Ford isn't paying healthcare costs. And at least in Canada, GM isn't paying for certain benefits that you just get as a Canadian citizen that the American government has privatized even before Trump. So this is a clip from Democracy Now! I want to play just to kind of show where I think there's a missed opportunity for, or an open opportunity for Democratic politicians to kind of lay the groundwork here. I'll get this one.
Parasites sucking up the money in between the treatment and the payment. So it makes no sense at all.
One sec.
This is UAW President Shawn Fain speaking on ABC's This Week.
Look, we're in a crisis mode in this country. There is no single issue in this country that has affected our economy and working class people and their jobs than NAFTA, the USMCA, and our trade laws, our broken trade system. And we're in a crisis mode. And, we are triaging right now. So I hear this debate about, blanket tariffs and all this stuff. But look, we're in a triage situation. Tariffs are an attempt to stop the bleeding from the hemorrhaging of jobs in America for the last 33 years. So, and as we speak right now, decisions are still being made. Warren Truck Plant right here in Michigan, there's over 2,000 people laid off. And a simple decision, Stellantis is shifting truck production to Mexico. They could change overnight and move those trucks right back here to Warren, Michigan, and put people back to work. You have Deere workers in Racine, Wisconsin. We have Mack truck workers in Allentown, Pennsylvania, where the companies saying are going to move their jobs to Mexico. So tariffs aren't the end solution, but they are a huge factor in creating and fixing this problem.
So that's the UAW president, Shawn Fain. Dave Lindorf, if you can respond to that. And also, we go ahead.
He's not addressing the issue because he knows that the reason that the industry moved construction into Canada is because of healthcare costs. That was stated by their executives, and the unions are not good on this because they actually. The leadership of the unions actually like having, especially when they're strong, like to be able to point to the healthcare benefits that they've negotiated. But those are coming off of the pay of the workers, because even if it's partly paid by the company could be paying wages instead of insurance premiums to private insurance companies. So it's really what a compromised situation for the leadership in unions. They should be supporting state-funded healthcare so that they can focus on working conditions and better incomes, and not on this other stuff. So a tariff.
So we get the gist there. But
Whew.
Bam.
I mean, this UAW guy, dude.
Shawn Fain basically kind of arguing there, like, just to clarify for the audience, like, the tariffs are a start to fix the situation of jobs being offshore. It's like, no, the policy is the start. And especially for a person, sorry, Bam, I know you're going to finish, but like, especially for a person trying to talk about, no, we can't do a Band-Aid situation. This is triage. We've got to really deal with the situation. Okay, then stop applying a Band-Aid to the gunshot wound. Stop applying the Band-Aid to the dude who's been like ripped up from NAFTA since the 90s and has like mini gun wounds and is tied up to an iron lung. Like, Band-Aid's not going to fix that. That's a policy issue. And so, yeah, being like, tariffs, let's see what happens. That's not, yeah.
Yeah, he's saying that tariffs are going to like help the situation, and it's not. Like, that's not going to help if there's like all these other issues. And it's funny because he mentions NAFTA, and Trump was supposed to have fixed that. Like, the new deal that Trump did in 2018 or whatever was supposed to fix NAFTA.
US, Mexico, Canada.
Right. So or North American Free Trade Agreement. So if I would love to hear, I don't know like who the UAW like lean towards. I would imagine they probably lean towards Trump this last time. I can't remember, but because a lot of unions did fuck with Trump this time. The big ones. Or at the very least would not endorse Kamala. I would like to hear him respond to that, because Mr. Trump was supposed to have fixed NAFTA and stopped these companies sending all the jobs to Mexico and Canada or whatever. But if that didn't happen, then like y'all should be putting some pressure on him. If they were to if got your endorsement or whatever. But to support the tariffs, it's like, you got to think, I understand you're a union president or whatever, union leader, but you got to think of more than just your constituents in the union. You got to think about the people at large also. Because if you're working at the goddamn place and there's a 100% or whatever 50% tariff on the car, okay, you're building a car, nobody's gonna fucking buy it. So you're out of a job either way, dumbass. Like, you're the union. Put some pressure on the freaking the CEO or whoever, Ford and whoever the hell.
Yeah, I think it's. I was actually a little surprised to see that. I'm not gonna lie. I was just like, oh, really? I don't know. I know he plays. I know with unions, like I know he's been very good at, galvanizing people in bipartisan ways through the union. Grabbing both sides to the table to negotiate issues between the workers and corporate interests, etc., and representing the people. But I just don't. I really feel like that wasn't the hill for him to die on. In order to protect whatever he's trying to protect. I don't know. It didn't sit with me right. And I really don't believe that if all these people who are even normally pro what the corporations do are even saying that this is a stupid idea, doesn't really make sense to me why he would choose this as to be the hill to die on. I'm shocked by that, damn.
Yeah, I start to wonder if he's being political. Like, you have to understand like how politics works, and we're so easy to doing this on the left because anytime, okay, AOC's name wasn't on a letter for a thing that she's obviously against, and it's like we get very caught up in these sort of smaller things. And what these are like the public glimpses into people making small p political decisions. Small p. But like
Small PV.
like by that I mean they go, okay, if I, keep my powder dry on this fight, can I bring up some other fight? Can I spend capital here if I save my capital here, right? Like, it's a forever sort of battle within keeping any sort of coalition together where you have people of different opposing views. But like kind of to what Bam said, and I know I'm not trying to attack him just because he's off camera, but like, I don't think Shawn Fain. Oh, now he's back. Well, I don't think Shawn Fain even has to like fight for people who are outside of his union. Frankly, like no one outside of his union elected him. And while that would be nice if he was just like a human and you used his political power to be like, okay, I have some capital, I'm going to spend it regardless of how my people believe. Like he was elected to represent that union, so he should do that first and foremost. But you're elected to represent and lead that union. And something Mars Falcon said here was something that I also kind of picked up from that, Democracy Now! Piece, especially with what Dave Lindorf was saying. Mars Falcon was saying, I remember many unions standing against any talk of universal healthcare because they fought for healthcare for their own union members and they wanted glory for it, F everyone else. So, like there's always this conservative talk about, unions, they just like take your money and do whatever they want to without your paycheck. And, or, you get like this talk of corrupt unions, and you saw this in the Bernie campaign where you saw some unions like the, there are unions out in Las Vegas for nurses and for hospitality workers who were very, bottom up organized, and they were for Bernie. And then you had other unions that were very top down organized, and they were in the tank for the it's my turn Democrats, and so they were not for Bernie. This seems like one of those political cases where Shawn Fain doesn't know that he should actually make the case to his union about what David Lindorf is saying about like, okay, well, listen, this is a lot easier said than done, and I'll admit that. But what needs to be said is those jobs ain't coming back. Those jobs are long gone, frankly, all right? And here are the reasons why. Because Americans will, and no people in the world, frankly, should accept a lower cost of living and a lower standard of living after having a higher one. Americans simply won't do it, but that costs a lot of money. All the things that America does hilariously inefficiently cost money, from healthcare to, all these 401k programs and health savings accounts and defined benefits and all these other different things that are loopholes for Wall Street to get fees off of. In Canada, they don't have that. In Canada, there's no need for like a 401k for all these other different. You just have a retirement plan. It can work the same way. They can tie to the stock market if they want to, but at the end of the day, it's not TD Bank taking the fees, right? Like it's a pension plan. And I'm sure they have like 401k equivalents in Canada too. We live in hell, right? But that's the whole point, is that unions need to start thinking bigger than just their jobs, and they need to start thinking that, politics is bigger than when they're fighting against a governor for the closure of a plant or something, right? It is the fact that you have Democrats and Republicans who are putting in these trade deals because they know that your employer wants cheaper labor and they're going to take advantage of that. And these other companies, these other countries just want that company to be in their country to employ their workers and raise their middle class. So who's fighting for you? Any entity that is fighting and saying, hey, let's lower labor costs in America by making our healthcare system more efficient. So that way employers don't have to pay for American healthcare insurance, which is the most expensive in the world and gets you the worst results. Let's make it so, let's strengthen Social Security. So instead of employer 5% match contributions to the stock market that goes up and down based on what the president feels like or whose thumb is up his ass, no, that's already settled. That's already covered. You don't have to worry about that. You can spend your money on these expensive ass Americans who want to spend $100 for the next Grand Theft Auto 6, and therefore that's the job they want. Right? So it's a messaging thing ultimately that people like Shawn Fain, I kind of expect them to do, because they're in a really good position outside the Democratic Party to just like make this case and not worry so much about what other people think, especially within their parties. Just be like, no, let's give the companies what they want, which are cheaper labor costs. And then let's give the workers what they want, which is their quality of life doesn't go down. It actually goes up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he just doesn't know this Shawn Fain person, or if he is being political. I don't know. But
I think it's the latter.
Yeah. I mean, I think so too. But yeah, like, you know, not all unions are like the bastion of liberty and fighting for the workers as they seem. You know, obviously we have some wild history of union heads in this country. But yeah, I don't know. Like if they're moving all the jobs somewhere, like, you're the president, dude. Like, think of some different tactics. Like, figure it out. How they're not going to do that. How you're not going to have these 2,000 people losing their jobs. You know, that's what you were elected for. You know, especially if you're not going to be thinking about the greater good. If you're thinking about your constituents, whatever. Like, okay, get it cracking.
They ran and supported messaging that was, Trump is gonna make sure we have more jobs here, more availability. The factories are gonna come back. It's gonna be. That's what they ran on. That's what people, who advocated for them believed in. I'm not saying it, and it's like I'm not. I don't know. I just don't think that to sit there with the straight face and be like, it's not the best option, but it's an option, and at least he's doing something. Was like. That was really fucking weak in my opinion. Like that's the weakest take I can imagine to take right there.
Well, it's just funny because he's bringing up NAFTA, and I'm just like, well, I thought Trump fixed that. At least if he didn't, talk about how he didn't. Like let's get down to the meat and potatoes, because
he could have been like, well, we're in a situation because of this, and he did previously negotiate this. I don't know,
because I'm sure like. There's a lot of members in the UAW that are Trump supporters.
Of course.
And if Trump is out here lying, then you should be the one to call it out. But if you're scared to do that because a lot of the people that maybe elected you are Trumpy, then you're compromised.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I thought like the answer was just a little bit too political for me.
Well, who said?
What
Shawn Fain.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Dan.
Yeah, I feel like Dan was being too political.
Lieutenant Dan.
So, this is the beginning of like I won't say warpath for Power Report, but definitely like a focus I want to do on our strengths that we have. And I'm going to begin this. You don't have to be a part of it, but I'm just going to begin this with a thesis, a hypothesis, an overall statement. I've seen enough. I think California is about to turn bright red.
Could happen. It's not that far off.
Here are the reasons why. You have a segment of conservatives in California who will always exist. If a Newport Beach blonde isn't knocking on their door every single day, they're going to blame the liberal DA in Los Angeles, even though they live in Bakersfield. And they are going to, they're going to raise hell and havoc about it. Basically, these are conservatives that are never going to be happy in California, despite, loving all the amenities that are here. They're going to complain from their gated communities about how there are so many homeless people outside. They're going to post on social media from their beach houses in Florida about how traffic is so bad and they can't get anywhere. Like, you have a latent amount of conservatives here, and they wanted to recall Gavin Newsom for having dinner during COVID. like literally they made that like, listen, I'm a Trump supporter, and so I know what degenerate behavior looks like, but telling me to wear a mask while you're out having dinner at a 4-star restaurant in Napa, impeachment. Like completely unserious people. But those Democrats were basically allowed to skate by for a long time in California because you have a bunch of Democrats who will just, vote blue no matter who. You have a lot of blue MAGA in California who think that's the right thing to do. You have a left that understands that, except on the super hyper local level, with certain city council people here and other public officials, you're not really going to get anyone more left than in the Democratic Party. And so you'll suck it up and vote for a Karen Bass or a Sheng Tao or like any of these other politicians in these places. But all of these Democratic Party politicians are losing the Democrats. You have a bunch of Democrats, like well-meaning Democrats and leftists, myself included, who are just moving out of the state because of any number of factors where they feel like they're not able to create a future or they're not able to find their employment for their careers in California. What that leaves you with are, blue MAGA liberals who Gavin Newsom, greasy Gavin, loves, and it leaves you with conservatives. I'll go through really quickly. We'll come back to Gavin Newsom because that's a really popular thing. But Karen Bass is under a lot of heat. She is the mayor of Los Angeles, and she was criticized for being abroad on a trip to Africa during the wildfires and during the beginning of the wildfires, and then blaming all of the issues on Kristen Crowley, the fire chief for the Los Angeles Fire Department. Bass fired Crowley and said that Crowley had not done a good job with the fires and coordinating all the fires, as though she could have done anything differently. And then, naturally people want to figure out, okay, what was done and wasn't done during these fires. The investigation goes, okay, Karen Bass, you're a public official. Let's see what you were doing all this time. Mayor Bass, why are your text messages deleted around the same time when the fires began? Why are you Eric Adamsing us here? Like, why are you like, oh, don't worry, officers, there's no crime. Just so you know, I looked at my phone and deleted all the messages to make your job easier. Just so you know, there's no crime going on. Yeah. So Kristen Crowley received what is publicly received to be a retaliatory firing. No one in most people in LA don't have any issues with the fire department. They're like, y'all did a great job. Everything down the line from there, people have issues with different political spectrums. But like you said, people want to get rid of Karen Bass who are on the Republican side in LA because they stepped on dog poop outside of their gated community one day and they decided to blame the homeless, right? Now you have Democrats who are like, Karen Bass, you're doing Eric Adams, Donald Trump shit in Los Angeles. And considering all the other things you've done, Kenneth Mejia just went into the city's budget and did an audit. He's the controller for the city of Los Angeles and found that, Karen Bass, how come all this money that Los Angeles has been spending on homelessness and mitigating it can't be accounted for? How come all this money's missing? That's Los Angeles. Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao. We found out this week that 2 people were arrested for apparently acting as hitmen for the former Oakland mayor. The former Oakland mayor is under, classic Oakland shit, under federal investigation for bribery and corruption charges, among other things. And yeah, there was a shooting that is believed to be connected to the former mayor. Oakland, of course, we know Gavin, like people outside the Bay Area or outside of California don't know, but has kind of, it's not been done justifiably. I'm not going to use the phrasing from the right wing of like, oh, it's a lawless hellhole. Everything, your stuff's getting stolen all the time. It's whatever. Like, totally true. But like, the reason is they'll say like, oh, it's the usual suspects. It's, all this crime going on. It's like, no, you have a city that's like fundamentally mismanaged and not being run right. Basically, California State Police run Oakland right now. You go to San Francisco, and Daniel Lurie is the mayor there. He was elected basically by big tech. San Francisco has done nothing but roll over to big tech, and that is why the city is so decrepit and destroyed right now. Basically, he's using his own nonprofit to do these different programs to make San Francisco great again. Basically, one of them is making all of the city employees return back to the office to make downtown San Francisco feel more bustling. Mind you, Westfield San Francisco, which is basically all of downtown San Francisco, it's a massive mall on the main street of San Francisco. They're like, we're out, we're done. So you just have a bunch of empty storefronts in downtown San Francisco, and those tech companies that the city poured a bunch of money into, they're not coming back. They're done. They're down in the valley, buddy. You're done. Nevertheless, tenants who were promised rent freezes by this campaign are like seeing eviction notices instead. And this all comes up to greasy Gavin Newsom, who is spending his run up to eventually announce that he's going to be running for president, to invite Charlie Kirk onto his podcast and go, my son loves you. To invite Steve Bannon onto his podcast and go, I'm going to kiss your feet. You're so good at politics.
Did that come out yet or no?
The Steve Bannon one is out yet. Would you like me to play a clip?
I mean, if you were going to, you don't have to be for me, but
yeah,
I know I was going to, but this would be a great time for you to jump in, because the thing I'm trying to draw at here is that Democrats in California have relied on the fact that there are enough liberals who will vote for them anyways, and enough people on the left who pay attention to politics, but are just like, I'm stuck. There's nothing else. They're about to lose all three. They're about to lose the liberals who want Democrats to fight against Trump, the leftists who are like, on morals and on principle, I can't vote for this and I'm going to support someone else, and the Republicans who wanted to impeach you for breathing. You've lost them all, which means you're going to lose, period, because the Republicans are just going to split the difference and blow the state in ways that Ronald Reagan only has in the past. And this is how you do it. Here's Newsom speaking to Steve Bannon. This interview was recorded after this news broke, but this news has just broken that Buttigieg is signaling to run in 2028 as well, which I think is another failure. But we're talking about California right now. So
Dan's like, let's go.
Anyways.
Lesson that we learned after President Trump, and look, we disagree on this, but President Trump won the 2020 election, and we were kind of shattered as a movement when he left Washington, D.C., and we had to go back to basics to say, it can't be somebody else do something. We had to do something, and that's where we went back to really a pure populist movement with the grassroots, the precinct strategy, and kind of rebuild ourselves from there.
Well, and I appreciate the notion of agency, that we're not bystanders in the world. It's decisions, not conditions, that determine our fate and future.
President Trump.
It's decisions, not conditions, that determine if I'm gonna fuck your wife.
Were those pins or were they like tranquilizer needles? Like, what the hell was that on his shirt? Like,
I don't know what that was either, actually.
It literally was like, remind me of one of them Jurassic Park movies where the dude
he just came back.
Crocodile Dundee.
Like, what the fuck? I don't think those are pins. They're too short.
Well,
okay, to talk about
California, the setup is kind of ghetto as hell. What's going on the left there, Doc?
He just got out of jail.
I mean, but you can move the camera over.
He's got
That-
conservative money.
Damn, bum.
Getting out of jail means he should have a much nicer studio.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see the background shit, man.
that Chinese billionaire that was funding him got deported or whatever.
Oh yeah,
he was living on his yacht, I think. But no, going back to California as a state, I think what like Democratic leadership really relies on is like person of color voters who tend to not vote for Republicans. But since Reagan, like governors in California, there's been 4 Republican governors and 4 Democratic governors. There's been the last 2 have been Democrats, but California is not above electing a Republican governor. Like we have a
since Reagan
a lot.
Like Reagan was a Republican. There's 2 or 3, like 3 after him.
Gray Davis, the
And
goat.
then, and then there's been 3.
Ray Davis was a Republican.
No, Democrat.
Okay, that's what I'm saying because I'm thinking of Schwarzenegger. I just can't remember the others. But I'm sure you're right, Bam.
Yeah, no, I looked it up. So yeah, what's the name? California is not above electing a Republican governor, and also we saw it. We've seen like when it comes to different propositions, things that you like somebody would think liberal California would pass, do not pass. Rent control's been on there twice in the past, like I don't know, 8 years, 10 years, or something like that. It has not passed. And then we just had this last one was like slavery and some other shit. I forgot what the other one was. It was like
abolishing slavery from the ballot, which good thing we didn't. Otherwise, we couldn't have fought our fires.
Right. Like,
which, again, like, let me be clear. I don't mean that literally. I'm saying that like, maybe we should have a state where we're not relying on prison labor to fight our fires.
Right.
You know, the state that always catches on fire.
Right. So, like, it wouldn't be like such a big surprise to see a Republican governor again because it's happened in my lifetime a couple times. But I think that it's going to be a little bit difficult. I don't know like what that Republican governor will be running on necessarily. I guess you can run on crime and some other stuff.
I don't think it'd be difficult, to be honest.
I don't know because
go ahead, C's, because
let me just I'll just say this: like it's going to be a little bit difficult because people of color tend not to vote Republican, and there are a lot of person of color voters in California.
Oh, it's okay. What all you need to do for them is just hit them with the old fiscally liberal, socially conservative, tan, racially ambiguous, independent, and it's a wrap in California.
You know what's really funny? You know what's really funny? How Dan said them when referring to people of color.
You know what we're gonna do for him? You know what we're gonna do for him? Exactly.
No, I don't. I mean, I think I wouldn't say it would be like super difficult, to be honest. I don't know. I just, especially seeing how many counties. I mean, some of them I would be more surprised if some of those counties were blue, but seeing this, how many counties turned red, I don't think it'd be. I think it now would be a time where they could do it. You know, let's pull something off. I think it would be now. And I think if we're still going, I still can't believe we're like in a state where I kind of get like I get that Gavin Newsom was like, look, I got a lot of attention when I set up the debate with the Florida governor. I forgot what was his name again?
Ron DeSanctimonious.
Ron DeSantis. When I set that up, I got a lot of pop for that. People were excited about that. I made it way later, and people were like, wait, what? How many months away? Jesus, okay. Well, then it came. Whatever, you smoked them, great, cool. That wasn't to be like, hey, let's. How did we get from that to like 3 episodes into your new Spotify show? Boom, Steve Bannon. Like, couldn't we go through a little bit more of the lineups, rosters to get to Steve Bannon live from the same garage I was in, War Room setup?
Sorry, like I just gotta remind you because I remembered I Rick Perried the other guest that was gonna be on. So to be fair, Tim Walz is gonna be on Gavin Newsom's show. I don't even expect Walz to be that adversarial towards Gavin, even though it would be really fun to watch. Because I don't think Walz knew that Gavin was gonna be scheduling him like this. All right. But The first three guests are get this Joe Rogan experience of a lineup here, okay? Get this Russell Brand experience of a lineup here, okay? Charlie Kirk, Steve Bannon, Michael Savage. You know how far back you have to dig? Like Michael Savage is in the goodie bag that you randomly stick your hand in, right next to the corpse of Rush Limbaugh. Like, he is so Michael Savage is so irrelevant. Ghost of Power Report, Shawn. And I always have this joke about the time that Michael Savage got kicked off of MSNBC. Back when MSNBC was an even further right-wing channel than it is today. Right? Back when Morning Joe was the left on MSNBC. Michael Savage would simulcast his radio show, and he got kicked off of MSNBC in the middle of the break by not a factual error, not even getting on a fight with a host. He told a caller to go get AIDS and die, that he should choke on a sausage in a bathhouse and contract trichinosis in response to a prank call about his stance on gay marriage. Right? The executives at MSNBC pulled the plug before the Charmin Ultra Soft commercial was finished, right? Like they were done. And Gavin Newsom is like him on speed dial. Absolutely. Like if I'm going to be rolling out a show, we got to get the heavy hitters. Let me get like the smelly crank from the early 2000s Bush administration who was like too right wing for the Republicans in 2006. Like let me get him on. Like I'm honestly at this point, like how long until Larry Elder goes on Gavin Newsom's show? And Larry Elder is going to use that to run for governor, and he might win.
He might. Yeah. Okay. Can you play the what's his name, Steve Bannon clip again? Because I feel like I want to go in on Gavin Newsom on what he said, but I want to hear it again. But I feel like I got smoke for him right now, actually.
No, there was definitely something. I want to say someone in here caught it too. Where
I heard it, but I want to hear it again so I can really like give him the appropriate smoke.
It sounded like Gavin said something, and it's like
he started clapping after, and I'm like, I heard it, but I need to hear it so I can give it to him. Balls deep.
I think that's a lesson that we learned after President Trump. And look, we disagree on this, but President Trump won the 2020 election, and we were kind of shattered as a.
Sorry, but this whole, I know you disagree, but lies. That's how it all worked. It's like if we can convince them that the sky is yellow, if we can convince them that the sky is black, if we can convince them that the sky is purple when it's actually blue, we can convince it that it's like the color of a luminescent Cybertruck, then we can tell then fuck tax policy. Let's just do it. Like we don't even need to convince them on, shrink the size of government, whatever. Let's just do it. Anyways, I know you want to get to this part, Bam, but I just have to get into that.
President Trump won the 2020 election, and we were kind of shattered as a movement when he left Washington, D.C., and we had to go back to basics to say, it can't be somebody else do something. We had to do something. And that's where we went back to really a pure populist movement to go at the grassroots, the precinct strategy, and kind of rebuild ourselves from there.
Well, and I appreciate the notion of agency, that we're not bystanders in the world. It's decisions, not conditions, that determine our fate and future.
Yeah. So Gavin Newsom, I feel like that's like damn near like that is like an actual like deep right-wing talking point, especially when talking to oppressed people and minorities. Like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like that's what he's saying.
I think it's way worse, but go ahead.
No, yeah, it's way worse. It's like that's like, and especially like in American vernacular, like what you're saying is like, you women, you black people, like this is like his like version of saying like DEI, affirmative action, is bullshit. Like you people who are different, there's nothing stopping you except for you. Don't sit here and pretend like there's any other obstacles in your way. Nobody's being racist to you. Nobody's being sexist to you. Nobody's being homophobic to you, transphobic to you. It's all your own decisions that will determine your fate. That is some really just elite level white male privilege bullshit. And I don't know how many people are watching this dumbass podcast of his, but like that shit right there is damaging. And really, I can't believe, Dan, that was your favorite guy for so long, and he's still your favorite guy, and you love him so much. like he said the transphobic shit last week, and now he's like doing this. It's like, who are you trying to become, dude?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know what? Let me not even say that. I see what you're becoming.
There we go.
Let me quadruple down on that. This is who he always was, and all the other shit
in public, at least. I mean, I don't know if he was saying this stuff in public before. Was he? I never seen it.
Listen, he was at least legislating this way. There was a really great thing that Chuck Modi had put up here as well, and this is the kind of tie-in that I was trying to bring earlier. You see Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, doing Donald Trump Republican thug ass behavior when it comes to retaliating against the fire chief who, and let's be clear, Karen Bass was like, hey, don't blame me. We actually gave more money to the fire budget for the city of Los Angeles. And the fire chief was like, actually, we asked for $17 billion and we didn't get it. And this turned into this whole like Democrat, truth souffle of trying to say, well, actually, first it was this, and then it was this, and then it was this. But anyways, you got your money, so shut up. And Karen Bass felt really, slighted by that, personally slighted. Like, how dare you go against my administration and my decisions and my facts, whether they're right or wrong. And so many people saw that as a retaliatory firing. That's Trump behavior. I don't even think I need to go into the Oakland mayor with like hiring like henchmen and doing like corruption and all the money laundering stuff that's being accused in that office. Like, I think that speaks for itself. The tech oligarchy that you saw with previous San Francisco mayors, just, like with what they were doing anyways. I think it was London Breed, who was the previous mayor of San Francisco. You knew it was this implicit, the Democrats are in bed with big tech and big tech gets what they want, but the people who actually make San Francisco the cultural enclave that, it's famous for being, y'all get stalked in. Like, fuck y'all. Like, we see that there in Trump behavior. And coming back to all this, Bam, to your point of like, was he like this the whole time? And you could say like Trump, like, was Trump like this the whole time? And, you can look back at certain different things. There's this like Roy Cohn film with Jeremy Strong that has getting some, play and run for all the movie theater people. But, once you saw Donald Trump do the Central Park 5 thing, you knew what type of business he was on. Like, it should have been clear from the jump then. And screw whatever, I'm voting Democrat here, whatever thing. To give an even sooner example, once you saw Donald Trump on the birther stuff against Obama, you knew what type of business he was on. It's like he could call himself an Oprah Democrat, but if your hill you're going to die on is Obama was born in Kenya, then okay, we know what business you're on. To Gavin Newsom, I'm not even going to go into the he slept with his best friend's wife and running for mayor of San Francisco thing, because I think that character speaks for itself, Democrat or Republican, left, right, or center. But as he's been governor, this talking out of one side of his mouth and legislating with his fist, saying that he cares so much about the environment and giving every fracker in the United States every permit they want to drill into lands they're not supposed to be, giving some one environmental thing here, doing more coal and natural gas over here. Like, there's so much of Gavin Newsom that is, here's the thing I wanted to share immediately. This whole, I'm going to pull funds from you unless you do what I want. Newsom threatens to pull funds from California cities unless they crack down on homelessness. This is in 2025. Gavin was doing this in 2024 even. Yeah. similar to what Trump did with DC mayor over homeless encampments. You better do something. You better get rid of those Black Lives Matter, squares and things like that. Otherwise, we're going to pull your funding.
What else?
Bam was being even too nice, right? Like, this is not who Gavin Newsom has become. This is who Gavin Newsom always was. Now he's just always been calibrating. Okay, when am I going to run? And what kind of Democrat am I going to be when I run? And who's going to have the hottest wife? Like those have been the three factors in his brain ever since he's been in puberty, basically, and possibly even before then, right? Now he knows that he's going to be running in a super conservative country and that he is going to try to play as the, Donald Trump Jr. looking surfer bro, Hollywood-esque California Democrat. And let me tell you, I will stick my neck out here. I guarantee it's going to lose.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like Gavin Newsom, he's leaving the governorship because he's, doesn't have the Jerry Brown FDR avatar status. He's not going to probably make it again as governor of California. Katie Porter's running for that seat. Zionist Katie Porter, who said that Netanyahu was doing a great job and an inspiration with Israel. Rip to you, you're not going to win.
They're saying Kamala is going to say whether she's running by like August or something like that, or summer maybe. I saw that.
Rip to you, stench of failure. I'm sorry.
They'll both beat Larry Elder though.
I don't know if they split the vote and the conservatives and individualist people of color decide to go for some third way because they hate the Democrats. That's what I'm saying. Is that like the Democrats have no base. Leftists like you and me are gonna go for fucking somebody's name, someone's face who was none of these people. Maybe Barbara Lee if she's even gonna run, right? But like it's probably not gonna work. The Democrats' vote is gonna be split. The Republicans who've been wanting to take over the state and cities within the state are going to have an opening in 2026. It's gonna suck. It's gonna really suck here. Because I don't think the Democrats, if there would be a stronger left coalition within the state to rise up, the Democrats are going to fight that. And by doing that, they're going to they're going to squash out their grassroots base, leaving the Republicans divide and conquer.
I don't know, because I feel like if Larry Elder actually does run, just him being black divides the Republican vote. So I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know who else is going to run, like, other than him. But, like, Larry Elder, like, that's cute. But, like, at the end of the day, dog, like, there's going to be a lot of people that's like, they're not even going to believe he's a Republican. They're going to, like, who? What?
I want you to, yeah. So, like, literally, Larry Elder ran for governor last time, and name recognition doesn't matter in the Republican Party as long if you're black. So, whatever. You're right. So, no, but like, a Zimmerman, George Zimmerman, an ostensibly white guy who looks brown or Latino enough in California with Republican values, absolutely is going to clean the state up.
Well, maybe. Well, it's got to be somebody with a name, though. Like, there could be somebody, I don't know who, but like,
that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's who, but I'm saying generic Republican wipes the floor with Democrats, not just state level, but I think like in cities and in local governments and maybe even state government too.
I don't know.
California has an okay. My last word. California has an energy for Democrats who would fight. I wouldn't mind if Robert Garcia was like, you know what? Let me do attorney general or something. Like, I think that'd be a good stepping stone for him because I think Robert Garcia could have a future in. I'm talking about the Long Beach congressman who got a threat from Elon Musk and the DOJ for saying that we're going to bring a gun to a gunfight when it comes to Elon Musk. And he decided to stand 10 toes down and say, yeah, I said what I said. You know where my office is in Congress. Come for me. I think that's an energy that old school Democrats and the left can get behind. But Robert Garcia is playing the wait your turn game, and he is in the back of the line. So he's not going to be able to turn around a governor run anytime soon, I don't think.
What do you think, Caesar? You were going to run against Robert Garcia for mayor of Long Beach, but you chickened out.
I did. it's still plenty of time though. You know,
He wanted to be the
looking how
first
some of
black
the
mayor
people-
sees.
Some of the people limping around. I got plenty of time. I will say that I'm like curious also kind of about the podcast. Either Gavin Newsom has like some boring ass conservative goofy guys as his producers, and that's why like they have like no swag on the show at all. It's like Steve Bannon is an idea, or like the crowd is definitely not young in that building when they set this up, because this is like an insane that the lineup is like the back-to-back lineup is just crazy work, and I'm still tripping that like we get Steve Bannon and then it becomes like even more mask off compared to last week. I thought after last week, you know, he would do like, oh, let me get a couple Gen Z TikTokers to kind of buff and clean things up a little bit. He was like, no, I'm just gonna ride with my boys, I guess. So yeah, I'm sorry, again. Fuck you, dog. I'm sorry. Like, it's like,
yeah, no, that comment
that
right
shit is
there.
whack. Remember quick, like Bam said, that kind of like verbiage is like in like an ick for me. Like that, like makes me, when people talk like that, or anybody talks to you that way, like I personally, I feel instantly disrespect. I'm like, what are you trying to say right now? Don't give me like old like oligarchy terminology about like how every single person in America, regardless of their race or ethnicity, has a shot to make it. They just worked harder than the next person, or they just don't do that. Like, don't do that. You don't know what people been through.
No more
Especially
bootstrap
people that
theology.
say that to them have not been in that position to do that, to tell minorities or impoverished like or marginalized communities like how they should feel or work through. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, I mean, goddamn, you're sitting on Zoom with a fucking racist.
This
Like,
is time for him to pull up
he's
and be
right
like,
there.
"We're not the same, buddy. Like, we're not the same."
Don't try to act like racism don't exist. He's right there, dude. Like, he literally has said it, done all kinds of Islamophobic movies and stuff, and back to all these racist parties all over the world. He was in Brazil. He was in Spain. Like,
He was in
Germany.
he was in Germany before Elon Musk.
Literally, he was in Spain talking about the Vox Party. Nobody even knows about them, and helped them win Sevilla. Like
Hungary.
I'm sure he was there too. He was
Viktor
over
Orban,
there.
absolutely.
He was over there in Brazil in the WhatsApp groups with Bolsonaro's kids. Like, this fool's been traveling all around the world, hating
on this ideology to spread it.
Right, and like Gavin's like, yeah, well,
and you're talking to him so fucking casual, like. I'm like, if Gavin could be like, I don't know why we're talking about terrorism when like I got the dude right in front of me right now. Like, this is what you're doing is spreading hateful shit around the planet. And like, I would think that this is a good spot to be like, people may think I'm kind of in the middle or like this or that. Let me set up a hard line now, because honestly, after this, I'm kind of coasting. Like, he could literally go back to coasting, but
right.
I mean, whatever. I mean, honestly, with the kind of name he has, I probably only helped him, to be honest. Like, this guy,
like to this point, like I talked in a previous episode about, Gavin Newsom's name recognition isn't even all that strong, frankly. Like, Pete Buttigieg has stronger name recognition than Gavin Newsom.
First of all, I proved it on this show that Beto is bigger than Gavin Newsom. He had more followers on Twitter and Instagram.
You did do that.
Y'all thought I was
stupid. I was shocked by this, but not a bigger podcast. Whose podcast is bigger now? What's up, Beto? Where your podcast at?
But like I in the previous edition of Power Report, the main Thursday edition, not the reviewing Sam Cedar one, but we talked about how Gavin Newsom has done this before, where he, not just with Ron DeSantis deciding, hey, let me do some pot shot target practice on some conservative here who's like dumb enough to take my invite. Yeah. I remember when we covered that debate and we were like, first and foremost, Ron DeSantis lost by taking time out of his Wednesday as an actual presidential candidate to speak to Gavin Newsom, who is ostensibly not a presidential candidate. Like, you lost what you put on your pants, dude. Like, we
already got him, folks. We distracted him.
Literally, the moment in between the time DeSantis, I almost called him Rick Santorum. That's how you know it's rough. In between the time in between the time DeSantis left from his house to the airport to get to the place where they were debating, Gavin Newsom slid up back there with the U-Haul, slept with his wife, and then beat him to the studio and then beat him in the debate. All right. But I'm just saying.
And hid his high heels.
Mm-hmm.
Just a troll. They weren't even behind his cuck chair like they usually are. And so, no, this is to say, like, that's our usual. Okay, Gavin will just like flex for the media. But I talked about the Gavin Newsom show on Current TV that Cenk Uygur has like a cousin connection to, essentially, right? With both being on that network, and how he would interview all of these tech bros, and it was a lot less coded in 2011, 2012. Frankly, a lot of these people were trying to appeal to Gavin Newsom, who was the lieutenant governor at the time, and so that's what kind of made it interesting. But if I'm to take Newsom at the best faith way possible, and this is his proving ground, this is how he's testing how he's going to communicate with conservatives and liberals and moderates on the campaign trail, so to speak. Damn, he's blowing it. Like, this is terrible. This is not going to play well. First of all, this is Gavin Newsom thinks this is the type of media environment where these sound bites will play over and over again in media that will show him favorably. Here's what happened the day after Charlie Kirk went on Gavin Newsom's show and that show aired. Charlie Kirk did a full thing about it on his own show and made multiple clips about how he owned Gavin Newsom and how conservatism has won and how Gavin Newsom is a little cuck bitch who is a pedophile or whatever for, not even standing up for trans kids, right? Like, that's basic. And guess what? Like, duh. Like, obviously that was going to happen. Meanwhile, Gavin's like, yeah, well, I got an in with him because I told him my kid likes him. And then he said that we could have a beer afterwards. And so I know how to talk to conservatives. I know how to reach out to that audience. Meanwhile, he's going back to his audience and windmill dunking with your decapitated skull in front of his audience going, look how much we've won, that the Democrats are on our side groveling to us. And we get to like rub it in their face that we still don't trust them. Right? So electorally speaking, right? Like, the Republicans already hate you and they're just going to vote for a Republican. The Democrats see you groveling like a bitch and they're not going to vote for you. The left, which would usually be we're smart enough to know what happens if we don't vote for you, or even like, nah, fuck it, let it burn. There is not a single, like, Gavin Newsom is on a failed high-speed rail project to failure and total collapse right now.
Literally. And honestly, I don't know if it's going to happen, obviously, but I was thinking about him probably having Cenk Uygur on that podcast at some point. And if he, I don't know, but if he was to go,
could, dude. Like, you literally have to host the show at that point. I'm not going to be there.
if he was to be on that podcast, all they're going to do is talk shit about leftists. Like, they're not going to talk about Republicans at all. Like, they're going to be like, you have these extremists on the left that say that we gotta respect trans people. So, like, that's why we're losing.
No,
that's going to be terrible. It'll probably be more offensive than Steve Bannon, honestly.
No, literally, like, it's going to be like Gavin's going to be like, yeah, there's a trans kid who wants to play Froshoff softball in Bakersfield. We can't have that. Cenk's like, of course we can't let trans kids play Froshoff softball in Bakersfield. Of course. Like, you're literally, I'm getting an aneurysm just thinking about it. I swear to God, not if, when that episode happens, I relinquish the StreamYard abilities. Y'all get to host that one. I'm going to be in Lancaster, dude. I'm going to be as far away from the internet as possible for that weekend.
Well, then I'm going to just talk shit about Lula and this highway. And
no, but it kind of reminds me of what you said like years ago, Bam, like 2016 or was it 2018 about Trump and like these people where it's like he's like the worst thing we did was like give them attention, like give them social media, like respond to it, entertain it.
2015,
he was saying that, and I mean, look, everybody knows like you're not going to ever win against these people in terms of these like public discussions or like YouTube videos or podcasts because we live in a world where there's editing, splicing, clip chimping people. Like it's really easy to paint narratives about people's views and stuff in your favor based on how you edit it style. So all this you've done is given ammunition to his base, or they can think you own, and then every other middle ground idiot falls in line with that because they're already so gullible. And now they see somebody that maybe they knew because they're from California, but they were kind of on the fence. They're like, damn, Charlie Kirk was kind of getting them on that one. And it's not a win. It's not a win to have him on your show. It's not a win to have Steve Bannon on your show because now there's like these kids who probably never heard of Steve Bannon because now you're getting politics deep cutting, and now they're gonna look it up and maybe they believe in that. It just doesn't work out. That's why I
they're
think
primed to
it's
believe
a stupid ass move. Stick to podcasting to get your Factor 5 meal sponsorship, and then also entertain a couple TikTokers and pretend you're like not that old of a guy, and then we're good. That's what he should have been doing the whole time.
Caesar, now that you mentioned it, Factor, time to pay the bills. Join now by doing Power 75, and you can get one of your free meal boxes right here.
Tell them we have a new Gamer Subs Power Report coming out, pre-workout.
Caesar got Sizzler ads on his Twitch stream. This one made it.
I've resorted to receiving sponsorship offers from either bankrupt, destroyed, or on the verge of bankruptcy companies. So Sizzler is sponsoring your boy right now.
Sizzler might be popping somewhere in America. It ain't here, but somewhere it might be cracking.
There's a Sizzler in America that on a Thursday night is active. Like it's active, it's bumping.
Caesar, we're right next to Arizona. No, we're right next to Arizona, Utah.
Can we go to the Sizzler in Nebraska that's jumping right now?
No, Sizzler was born in Los Angeles, California. It's dying in Los Angeles, California actively.
It's born in Los Alamitos. It will die in Los Alamitos.
I just hope Spires outlasts it.
Spires is a crazy drop.
I remember when, like, never mind. Let's talk about the news. This is a new show.
Yeah.
Is it a new show? Really?
A new show, and that is what happened in the news.
Zoomed on the screen.
I love Tesla.
Tesla is really good. Unironically, he didn't realize how much of a bar was. We're stealing that.
That literally is like the little bit of respect I have for Donald Trump is like, you're so New York, like you are such a New Yorker, like you pronounced it like that, like I can kind of respect it.
Yeah, that was like a moment where it's like, yeah, this man is through and through from New York right there.
I love Tesla.
I was like, oh god.
Like you could have been on freaking Jersey Shore, dude.
Someone could have been like, no, sir, it's Tesla. He's like, that's what I said.
I love Tesla.
Wasn't there a Curb Your Enthusiasm or Seinfeld? I think it was Curb where they were saying human instead of human. It's like saying human because they're from New York. That's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It's like when Sam Cedar's Boston comes out when he says like pause it.
Pause it for a second.
Literally.
That or if I hear that or like a little bit of Chicago or something like that, it just can't leave, can it? It's just in you.
His Boston comes out and he turns to a raving racist.
Sorry, that's my Jimmy Dore button.
Not in his 1v20.
Anyways,
Gavin Newsom should have did. He should have been on that damn Jubilee shit.
No, you tell Gavin Newsom's a 1v20. He's coming up for a totally different event.
Oh no.
Thank you, President Trump.
Okay. Anyway,
War Peace report. I'm really still waiting. I commented on the YouTube video. I'm like, damn, still no peace, huh?
Still no peace.
So it's my only comment on her YouTube videos now.
Like, damn, what a piece.
Still no peace.
No, it's like peace with an eye. It's like
you taking a piece out of my soul every day with this report. Goddamn, dude.
Yeah. Anyways, I need a little palate cleanser.
N-word.
Okay. No. Truthfully, the warpath is working. I think we're going to be talking a lot more in the next couple of weeks, couple of months, teaser there, about Democrats who are fighting back. This is a Common Dreams article right here of Bernie Sanders during his, fight oligarchy warpath Bernie tour, where he is going to weak red congressional districts and holding rallies saying, you don't like the things that are happening here. Let's do it. Bam is trying to play the game of where can I find the black person in rural Michigan?
Literally.
Which is a fool's errand.
I see one.
This is rural
where's
Michigan.
Black people got cars. I saw one.
People on the right, maybe. I think there's some under the state champion.
I see Steve Bannon.
No, I saw one. I saw one woman.
I seen a couple. I seen a couple.
Wait, I think I see two.
I was saying Steve Bannon was down here.
This shit is jumping though. Goddamn.
Now, I wonder is there are some other Democratic Congress people that are doing town halls like this as well.
Are they doing town halls outside of their district?
Yes. Well, they're doing town halls where the Republicans won't do town halls anymore.
Precisely.
This is like a tactic or whatever. I don't know how much it's going to work, but I wonder, like, are they letting
media attention right now?
Like, I wonder, are they going to let people ask Bernie questions? Because I'm going to be very honest with you. Bernie can get up there and say a lot of great stuff, but then what if somebody asks him, should trans kids play? Should the transgender, like, what if somebody asks him about transgender sports? Is he going to lose the whole crowd when he says, let them play in the gender that they are?
No. I mean,
Is he going to lose the whole crowd if he says what we want him to say?
No, because like there's one, and here's the thing, because there's a strategic thing that's going on here. So yes, he's in rural Wisconsin in the scene here, right? Yes, he's in rural Wisconsin. Sorry, Michigan. Same difference. This Warren, Michigan. Same difference, right? This is also a college campus, right?
Are you sure?
This is high school. Lincoln High School.
This is Lincoln High School. It's Lincoln High School in Warren, Michigan, but Warren, Michigan has a college campus on it. Like, this is like, these places are being picked pretty strategically of like, Bernie's not just going out to broke dick nowhere. Bernie is going out to places where he knows he's going to get some attention. Near college campuses, near places where maybe in the Iowa caucuses he did kind of well. Near places where, he's not going to go out to these places where he's going to get a call and response. It's going to end up like that. I think Bernie could hold his own in that situation, as old as he is. But Bernie did do an interesting thing that was call and response, where he was asking people to say like, what is the biggest thing you're concerned about right now? And you got a bunch of varied answers. You got your usual, like, my rent's too high. I'm worried about food. I don't feel safe sending my trans daughter to school. The growing kleptocracy of the media, like you got your cranks with him there. So I think that's a decent, like, sort of posit to put out there, Bam. But I think Tim Walz, who I think would answer that question brilliantly. He is also going on this similar tour where he is going towards Republican districts to kick the tires around and see what kind of rows he can rabble there. And I think if Democrats are going to say, sorry, thumb up ass, we can't do anything politically here, what you can at least do is anytime an elected official gives a, crowded rally somewhere, it automatically becomes news. You can use that to get one or two things said, frankly. And that's what Bernie Sanders, Jasmine Crockett, frankly, is doing a great job, even though she's kind of packed up. She's been great rhetorically. You ask her what her opinion is about Elon Musk, and it will be an expletive, guaranteed. And that is the energy that, Al Green is not winning any sort of youngest, sexiest, up and coming Democratic senator awards or Democratic legislator awards, right? But I know people who are, like the Ken Klippensteins out there who are complaining about old ass Democrats who would be like Al Green 2028 if given the opportunity, because everyone just wants to see someone fight. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be good, but at this point we want to see fight. And the Democrats who are fighting are the ones who are getting the, I've yet to see polling on this because all the polling outlets are too much of bitches to do this, but all the Democrats who are fighting tend to be getting the best and most positive media attention, both colloquially, in social media, etc.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. There's a lot to fight against right now. And yeah, people are out there. Not everybody is out there. Some people are, some people aren't. But yeah, I think there's a lot that the current administration is doing to make the American public feel like scared, and people often look for leadership. So, it's good that these people are going to these districts when their Republican Congress people are abandoning them. I just hope that, obviously we're still early in the Trump administration, whatever, but I just hope that they remember that sentiment.
Yeah, I think what he's objectively, it's just a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. He's not, he's very far from where his district. He's very far from, the people that voted him in, that love him, are from. And I think that it's good to go to these areas. He does it. He went to another, was it Omaha too recently? He's been doing a few locations. I saw on some posters, and I was like, wow, okay, so he's doing almost like the not only just up there, but also a little bit some of those Rust Belt areas too. And I think that's a good move, because you want to have a voice like him, because I think people that voted on Trump's base that are kind of really feeling like, wait a minute, I got kind of played because I'm dumb, etc. Can see some of the videos from the stuff and go, what, let me just go see what he's talking about. Let me see what he's talking about, and
oh yeah, all of those regretful Trump voters, however serious they are or not, I think the opinion on PowerPoint has always been they're kind of malleable, but they're going to be first in line for a sort of Bernie kind of, he's not running. But the prospect of a Bernie running, these are the same people who are like, Hillary, I'm not sure. Kamala, I'm not sure. Biden, maybe he's wide enough. But Bernie, okay, Bernie. Nah, him I can get behind. He always has.
I don't know about that.
But I think I actually kind of think a little bit of that, for sure, because I think that Bernie's almost in that position where so many people on the other side know him for how much he's been dissed by the Conservative Party and people like that, and even some of the Democratic Party, that they'd be like I've heard it, it's a name I know. Let me just
both parties hate him. I'm down.
Comes over me a little bit.
Yeah, we're in a thought-free
he has a name.
society. We're in a thought-free society, Mr. Free Discussion Society, and so something like that can definitely work in Bernie's favor. I want to inconspicuously use the bathroom, but also use this as an opportunity for you to talk about.
It's not inconspicuous if you say it's inconspicuous.
While you're there, I'll talk about Lula da Silva.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say you could talk about the protests in Argentina. You can talk about the Belt and Road Initiative in Brazil, or whatever you're gonna go about.
Yeah.
Anyways,
we'll talk about something that's not on the agenda.
Yeah, I do have a question that's on the agenda, and I can ask Bam.
Okay, well, go ahead. You want to do that first? You trying to distract me from talking about your boy, or what?
Yeah, Bam. How do you pronounce the word hegemony or hegemony?
I say hegemony.
Hegemony? Okay.
Yeah. I think some people say hegemony.
today, and I was like, "Is it what the hell?"
It's definitely hegemony, but
Is it hegemony?
it's definitely hegemony, but
How's it
hegemony
different?
is
It's
understood.
American
Yeah.
or
Because that's how English works.
Okay, go take your dump.
go take a damn poop already. Jeez, okay, go ahead.
Now your boy. Now they're having COP30 about climate change in Belém, Brazil.
They are.
Bethlehem, Brazil. And and they're building a big ass road through the Amazon. Look it up, buddy. Look it up. They're tearing up all this Amazon rainforest to build this road because they don't want to have as much traffic in the city for COP30. And I'm like, damn, I thought, what's up with your boy Lula down there? What's going on? look at Dan put. Look at Dan put on the screen.
What? South American for the climate killer? Oh my god. That's crazy. That's crazy. Dan was ready. Dan was just ready for the day we could tear Lula down. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I was rocked by this one. It's one of those things where, like, obviously, this is a pro Lula household. We support and love Lula in this house. Okay, we've been through the ups, the downs. When you're not supposed to be rocking with him, I was doing it. I was fighting family debates down there for him.
The arrests, the jailing,
the arrest in jail. I was like, that's my goat. The t-shirts. I did it all. I don't know. It's like, it's one of those things where I'm like, damn, you can't really defend this. And it all stems back to like this disgusting thing that happens in Brazil a lot. Whenever there's something to show up and show out for, or like an event, there's never an approach to address issues and directly solve them for the future. There's like, let's find ways to band-aid things or pretend it's not like this, or paint the streets a little nicer so people think that things are great here, instead of like highlighting some of the issues and working on the issues so we don't have them in the future. And when I see this, I'm just like, here's another example of like Brazil taking an initiative to like find, like, just do something that it's against. Literally, I thought this is 100% against on everything he ran on. Like, I remember he was a big against the deforestation efforts that Bolsonaro was doing during his campaign. To do an act of deportation for a fucking summit is crazy to me. Like, what?
Well, I'll say this. This is why, like, being a fan of a politician is just a fool's errand. You can like them more than somebody else, but I think when it comes to, and I'm not talking about you, but I'm not necessarily talking about Lula in particular either, but like, there are things, maybe this is beyond Lula's control, like maybe, or maybe he's like weighing the options. Like, there's going to be 50,000 people that show up for COP30. Like, Democracy Now! Is going to be here. Maybe we need to like make it a little bit nicer. And sadly, we're going to have to cut this part of the rainforest down. I don't know what the reasoning is, but there's like, nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? They're going to do things that disappoint you. It's best to not be like getting your hopes up or acting like they're amazing like that.
Yeah, never ever fall in love with a politician or become a fan of a politician. I definitely love to cling on to a little bit of hope, though. Maybe it's just that Brazilian side of me that's like, you want to root for someone for real. So, and you want someone that, you grew up, through your different stages of like dealing with politics outside of that country, but you're still attached to it. You want to have somebody you're still rocking with, and it's consistent. So I think that one of the things I always try to remind myself, especially when an initiative, I'm not trying to diminish, of course, how bad this is for climate, how bad this is for the Amazon, the species, the environment. I trust me, I understand it. And I think we all even understand it living in the countries we live in. All of us live in or on internet watching a show. We know how directly our day-to-day, regardless if we think we don't do nothing, we affect the environment, or you're in a place that already got an environment torn down to where you are right now to watch the show on a computer that probably destroyed we all have a tie to it. We've destroyed the earth in one way or another, just being born as humans. But I think it just really this is just not a good policy, because I just think that he's so good at being a negotiator through his union experience in the past on appeasing both sides. And I think the controversial parts that come with Lula is the pushback that his detractors use is they're like, oh, well, he's done this and this and this, and that's even against progressive values you believe in. But I'm like, yeah, but there's just no way to appease the whole country, because the country of Brazil is not 100% progressive. So like, you're going to have to do things to bend, because you're a president now. You're not just like a community leader. You're a president of the whole country. So I really think that for me, if I don't know. I don't know that I need to hear more about it. I want to hear him speak more about it. I want to understand more to get a better grasp of it. But my sentiment is like, I really don't feel like this was the only option in order to deal with like the traffic, which is really bad in Brazil. This couldn't have been the best option. And if this is the option, I think the only thing I can see saving grace is like having double the efforts to like mitigate this by replanting or reworking on revitalizing a different impacted community due to deforestation. If that's the conversation, that's the only way to like soften the blow for what you've already committed to doing.
Or plant some trees.
Yeah, plant some fucking trees like Mr. Beast. Plant some trees. Take a picture with a check in front of a hospital and like, you know,
impregnate
kids, and I'm gonna be like, man, at least he hugged that kid yesterday. That was tight.
Impregnate some sloths that got killed or some shit.
If he's like, yeah, I'm gonna blow up 3 aquariums, I'm like, okay, now we're talking. Like, I'm just gonna tear down a couple aquariums. Okay, you know what? Now the goat's back.
I leave for 1 10-minute shit, and we're already at sloth insemination.
Yes,
people they probably eat them down there.
What, the sloths or the shits?
Both.
Anyways, I was thinking. I was listening the whole time. I think I agree with a lot of what C says. Like at the end of the day, like no politician is a hero. No politician is perfect. You shouldn't be looking for them at that. You should just be like, okay, how are you showing up to the job? And just as politicians oftentimes view voters and votes as transactional, we should view them as transactional. And we should be able to say, okay, I like that Bernie Sanders is doing what few other Democrats are doing and showing what it's like to have a spine and a backbone when it comes to your policies and your principles and fighting for, you know, what you believe in for a country. Also, where was this energy during Biden's genocide? Like, you can definitely hold both at the same time. I think there's oftentimes this let me show off my country bravado that world leaders, especially outside of the United States and England, get, where it's like, okay, it's the World's Fair or whatever, so do some big new infrastructure project to prove your thing. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do that. I don't think you have to capitulate and destroy the Amazon rainforest to do that. I don't think you have to destroy the rainforest to build a road. At least if you're going to do that, like build a high-speed rail or something. Like,
yeah, blow it up and I don't see a train. What the hell?
Me playing City Skylines 2, like that's just an inefficient way for travel.
Arches that go above it and then have a rail flying across the skies, you know. Just a little bit of birds get hurt. That's it.
How about we have the bankers from the International Monetary Fund just zip line through the Amazon? Like
have Amy Goodman's ziplining with the water.
I'm a fan of ziplining. That's an initiative. That should be like a war tactic before like the negotiation. But yeah, to come to you got to zip line across the damn.
Amy Goodman and Juan Gonzalez.
About Trump, you got to zip line across the table.
On the mic.
Her same jacket. She's coughing.
We have 30 seconds. Juan, what did you think about
Marco Rubio's suit, high as hell? You know, you've seen his whole calf muscle hanging out on that zip line. Shit, riding up.
Marco Rubio's cantaloupe calves.
Yeah,
y'all remember that, right? The cantaloupe calves.
No,
this was one of the things that remember. I know this happens a lot, but every midterm or election year on Fox News, if a Republican's not in office, they will start playing the caravan B-roll. And this was, there's a migrant caravan coming to the southern border. Like, we've seen this game multiple times, right? And there's one of these times where there was like a southern Republican politician who was saying that, like, you got to see these boys. They're so good at hopping the fence. They got like cantaloupes for calves.
God damn.
Man, American racism. You just can't. I mean, you can beat it. Much like in other places, Americans think they have the best racism, and they need to go outside the country to get the better racism.
Oh, there's way better racism in other places. Yeah. Way better.
America's like easy mode on the single player.
America has better institutional racism.
Yeah. They have a better foundation for it.
It's more sophisticated institutionally, but like socially, other places are doing it.
Other countries go way harder.
You can just say whatever you want in a lot of places.
Yeah, it's so good that people are like, I mean, it is a little racist, I guess.
They'd be handing out monkey costumes at championship games.
They'll be like, in Brazil, they'll be like, I mean, yeah, it's messed up, but he's just being funny. It's like, gee, sure? Are you sure?
Everyone in Brazil turns into Joe Rogan. It's like, it's just comedy, man. Like, wait, you can't tell a joke anymore?
The Americans are so soft. He's just joking. Like, okay. I'm out.
Speaking of casual sports racism, soccer fans in Argentina were caught on video protesting their pensions. And another edition of Damn, I Wish We Had This Smoke in America. So, Argentinian football hooligans joining protests against pension spending cuts in Argentina. So they're clashing with police here. Police using violence to break up the demonstrations. Wonder where they learned that from. They're killing us. They've taken our medicines. They've cut our pensions by 30%. And then seeing the elderly fan get beaten up just got other fans more, into it, especially while he was wearing the, local team.
I think it's Newell's. I think it's Newell's.
It is. Wait, CA? No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
I think they're. I don't think they're like. Might start fucking with them.
Oh, this is a Javier Milei joint. So, folks, remember that Elon Musk started CPAC by bringing out a big chainsaw. That was actually a bit that Javier Milei did in Argentina. Now, Javier Milei was basically the trial run for what the tech oligarch CIA, the worst CIA we've ever had, was basically trying to do to coup the United States, which was get a bunch of big tech crypto money, get a bunch of lofty investors and, people who are really good at scamming to convince politicians and business officials that if we ransack the government and get rid of all of these social services, it'll be better and more efficient for the country overall. Argentina is seeing, I think the proper economic term is dummy inflation. You are seeing, I think the proper economic term is stupid unemployment. And yeah, like you cut off all the government services in a place like Argentina, where a lot of people rely on government social safety safety net programs. And, the bank is not going to come and go, hey, I see you lost your pension. We're just going to start sending you 1,000, Argentinian peso a month, which is fucking useless based on inflation, right? Like, we're going to send you 300 trillion Argentinian peso a month. So $30.
Well, Milei actually got this from a previous Argentine president. I want to say his name is Carlos Menem. I'm doing it off the top of my head, and I think he was president like around 99 2000.
He was president from 89 to 99. If you're talking about the same Carlos Salmon, yes.
Okay, so 90, is it Carlos?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, and he was of Syrian descent. But he absolutely destroyed. Like this is like what Malay is like trying to do now. Like Carlos Menem like did that. It was like mayhem in the streets in Argentina. I'm assuming that was 1999 then.
Yeah, and this is like a repeated thing that, you know, this is a form of economic imperialism. You go back to the Chicago Boys and Pinochet in Chile. Like these are similar things that have happened throughout history where a bunch of Western economists, they're called the Chicago Boys because these were economists from the University of Chicago who said neoliberalism and neoliberal economics and extractor politics, where we rape countries in the global south of their resources and bring them to the north for their riches. That's number one, baby. We're going to work with the CIA and the US government to spread this ideology wherever we can and topple dictators. And, you know, that even paid the groundwork for Menem that you're talking about right now.
Right. Yeah, I remember like seeing videos and stuff like they were taking cash out of banks in like armored trucks, and like it was a lot of riots, and it was pretty crazy. This recent protests in Argentina, apparently there was like Boca Juniors fans and River Plate fans that were joining the protests together, and they're like arch enemy fan bases down there in Buenos Aires. So, you know, I guess you got them to agree on something. Argentina does have a pretty big history of protest, though, but they do have a pretty like robust democracy. So I wonder, like, you know, I don't know anybody from Argentina. Who the hell am I talk to? But like, I wonder, like, if like that older gentleman that had got, I guess it was tear gas in his eyes. Like from a political standpoint, like why did people feel like voting out the Kirchners was good and voting in somebody with the worst haircut alive and just
and stole
ridiculous
millions of them in crypto?
Yeah, and just like ridiculous, like ham-fisted ideas of politics. Why was that the thing? He's doing what he is doing what he ran on. Like he ran on doing this. So I mean, you know, and there's people voted for him. So I wonder, like, what's the deal with that aspect of it? Like the same people here with Trump. It's like this is what he told you he was gonna do.
Well,
you shocked?
No, I mean, no, that aspect of it. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of Trump, you know, leopards eating face theory. But one of the first times I was invited on, there's that libertarian guy, Larry Sharp, who I've been on his stream before. Sometimes it's like a one-on-one panel debate. You know, he's a nice guy, if not necessarily, you know, the Sam Cedar debate helped me solidify certain things I felt about a lot of people I deal with in politics, and where I'm like, okay, 2020's still not super jaded. Dan was like, okay, a lot of people view politics as team sports. It's way worse than that, right? A lot of people view politics as their own game of retribution. And after Occupy Wall Street, you had a lot of people, especially like, you know, elder millennials, late Gen Xers, who were very much like, I've been screwed over by the system. I have no hope by this system. I have a lot of faith in technology, and I'm old enough to remember when the internet was this big uniting force for good. And so there's this tendency to believe techno optimists, and there's this tendency to kind of go along with their existing dogma, and crypto was behind a lot of that. And you know, these same crypto forces were behind the recovery in Puerto Rico, which turns out, as we've seen years since then, was another case of Naomi Klein's disaster capitalism, where, and we're seeing it now in Altadena in Los Angeles, right? The news article I just popped up here was that burned out lots in Altadena are selling like hotcakes on the market. They go on the listings for a day, and by the end of that day, they're gone. So wealthy people are buying empty lots in recently fire burned Los Angeles because of a looting style of capitalism that's driving all of this. Down from, Mark Andreessen to the people, Cantor Fitzgerald, all these different like big financial institutions with ties to right-wing governments around the world. They are backing crypto. And so you have a bunch of people like, your dudes from around the way and everyone in the barbershop who's like, oh no, you see this crypto, I'm on that crypto, right? Like they see it as financial liberation because they've been in an experience and been around a time where greenbacks ain't doing nothing but barebacking them, frankly. But you see, like, I say all the stuff with like the libertarian that I was talking to, Larry Sharp, because there's one episode where I was on with this one, I want to say her name was Donnie, but like she's a black libertarian and she was extolling the virtues of Javier Milei before he was elected rather. And I was like, Javier Milei, the guy backed by like Steve Bannon and like Donald Trump and all the people who want to like loot governments for their resources and give it all to rich people. Yeah, I don't think that's going to go great for the Argentinians, actually. And there's, to your point, Bam, ultimately about how these people get into power. Like, oh, duh, you voted for this, so belt to ass, welcome to what you voted for. I've seen a lot of this right-wing sort of further from people who are not that politically engaged. And they're like, oh, my team is supporting this guy. I don't know why we're supporting this guy, but it's frankly the same way Dan from the internet watches any sort of sporting event in public. I'm like, hi, who are my friends? What are we rooting for? Why? I don't really care. Sure. Whoever wins, score the goal, do the point, whatever. Like, but it's worse than that. Again, it's a retribution angle and aspect of things. So that's how Javier Milei won. Like, you had just enough crypto people from around the world. You had just enough, pseudo libertarians from around the world. They all came together like, let's make a deal and let's use Argentina as this wonderful example of, let's use crypto to back the currency. Let's bring them along with Venezuela, along with Puerto Rico. You'll notice that it's all these like crashed out, unfortunately, like Central and South American states where they're doing these cryptos.
El Salvador.
Yeah. All these crashed out states where they're trying out crypto because that's where you can do all the money laundering. That's where it's the easiest to hide all your Silk Road drug buys. Like, it's easier than even the US dollar to get business done unofficially. And so they're building these economies off of that. The people who are taking fees, the Visas and the MasterCards, the Rumble owners, the Cantor Fitzgeralds, the Andreessen Horowitzes that I was describing, related to Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all falling within the same tech bro ideology. They're the new Chicago boys. They have created this space to where all you need are a group of white billionaires from one of the coasts of America, bloated ass, pale ass, pasty ass, to say, ugh, I like this weirdo in Paraguay, and he's gonna, he's got stringy hair, and he's gonna turn all of the economy into crypto, and he's gonna install hyperloops instead of subway cars, and we're gonna get all the natural resources and take them back to America. And you've got enough money from America to at least push it on the people, whether they want it or not. Because like, Americans don't want Trump, but we got it pushed on us. Enough Americans wanted Trump, but again, I'll remind you, Bam, the winner of the 2020, I will become Steve Bannon now. The winner of the 2024 presidential election was people with their asses in their couch who said, fuck all y'all and fuck this system, let it burn. rightfully, wrongfully, but more people picked that than voted for Trump. So I refuse to believe that like Trump won this election or that Trump's politics represent the majority of American people.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah, for sure. Definitely not. They represent Caesars and that Jehovah's Witness shirt he's wearing. But,
You know all about that, wouldn't you?
Dan's eyes lit up.
What's worse, Jehovah's Witness shirt or Las Vegas Knights hockey shirt? Which one?
Watchtower Seas over here.
Golden. Bet.
Kingdom Hall Seas.
Okay.
Awake Seas. I just imagine Seas at a subway station in the East Coast with like one of those little brochure booklets like just hanging up like a newsstand by the side.
I'm gonna be on the subway going through the damn Amazon, I guess now.
No,
you're gonna be in a car. It's not so. It's a car, but
yeah. When Dan originally said the train idea, I had like 5% hope. But then I remembered how long it took them to build the above ground train line in Salvador. How long that took to be opened. I'm like, yeah, it would never happen. They would never finish it.
Now it's the last 15 minutes of PowerPoint. So can I say something wild?
Yes, and I want to ask you a question after you say this.
COVID was the best thing to happen to Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay.
Because it took a very proselytizing religion and it forced them to get creative. Because I still know they're there, but they're not walking creativity. Because they got the signs, they got the little poster boards and shit like all over by subway stations everywhere. They're not walking up to you, but they're always there. They're just sitting. They're just watching. At least I don't have to turn the sprinklers on anymore when you knock on my door. So that's good. Go ahead.
I feel like Jehovah's Witnesses kind of fell off, low-key.
Oh, I see them a lot.
No, I think they kind of fell off. I see more like evangelicals more than I see Jehovah's.
I don't see younger ones, but yeah.
I see like kids because their parents are taking them around, but Putin did kick them out of Russia. Okay,
my man.
Were we going to talk about Syria or no? Because I know you hate Ukraine. I don't know if you also hate Arabs.
No. I think Syria is definitely worth talking about in the last couple minutes of the show. Please take it away.
Okay, well, before that, okay, Dan, me and Caesar were talking about this. This is completely off topic. You might know. Me and Caesar were talking about this last night. BYD has dealerships in Mexico. Could somebody, I don't know if you know, you might know. Can you buy the car in Mexico, drive it across the border, and keep it here? And get it registered and stuff?
Can you? Probably. Is it legal or is it easy? I don't think so.
To get it registered and all that?
Oh, no, you're not going to register. No, you're not going to get it registered here. But, professional driver, closed course type shit, absolutely. It's like, especially because all these YouTubers, shout out Forrest Auto Reviews, especially, who's just been like running train on this. But here's how it works. San Diego, Orange County, LA County because the bouginess, but Orange County and San Diego because the proximity to Mexico, where the import laws are just much better for cars. That's where you get a bunch of your like exotic dealerships with like your K cars, your Europeans, your all of your East Asian cars, all that stuff. See, C's knows all this, right? But that's where you're able to get some YouTubers like, hey, over here, turn this over this back lot where like the cops never show up, where like all the streets are paid from this like little business area. Yeah, we got the car here because we got it through Mexico, and whoever was doing customs that day just thought it was a Tesla, so they just let it go. Yeah, if you have enough money and you're getting like 10 of them mixed in with a bunch of other legitimate cars, which, hey, smuggling happens all the time and they're pretty damn good at it. So it's possible. But if you're like a regular, like normie single person, or you and your weekend warrior buddies and a 30 rack are just trying to get a BYD car through the United States, it's not going to work. But you can't even local bus, because BYD is still pretty popular for buses, actually, for building electric buses, especially in America, and shipping them here, because America is pretty bad at electric vehicles. So it's a little bit, the imports on BYD buses are still pretty bad, but not as bad as the cars. All right. And even then, it's like, if you're talking about government red tape and, Department of Government Efficiency, the number of red stamps and signing and shit like that, and it could still all fall through. Just because a thing is made in China right now with all the tariffs under Biden and Trump 1 and Trump 2, you're not happy. You're not doing it. You're not doing it.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you more about it in the group chat because I don't want to spend the whole time on it.
Yeah. This whole show could be about that if we really wanted to, but we chose politics.
Okay, and shout out BYD for enslaving people in Brazil. Shout out the bricks.
That's a crazy shout out. I'm glad
you're
proud about that one.
Let's not forget their factory in Caesar's hometown of Salvador.
Stop the factory from being built.
Got shut down by the government.
For a handshake on that.
Tortuguita seas.
I did defend it also too.
I'm sorry.
Got shut down by the government in Brazil for slavery conditions. BYD, Brazil. Shout out the bricks.
In the words of Ye, sounds like a choice to me.
They do get 420-mile range though, or $23,000.
That's worth slavery.
And a gas motor though.
I mean, you heard Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, it's not your conditions.
So the situation in Syria is kind of chaotic. Bashar al-Assad ran tails between legs to Russia a couple of months ago. Evacuated. Ran off to,
I got my opinions.
And Bam, you can fully express them because I really don't have strong ones on this. But and since then you've had kind of a DRC situation where you just have a bunch of factions with guns. And I'm just gonna explain this in the worst way possible, so Bam can steamroll over me. So you just have a bunch of factions with guns, and it's kind of like the second part of Wicked, where they start dancing. And no, I'm kidding. Bam. With the T-minus 7 minutes we have, how should we tackle this? Because to me, I'll be honest, it is a little bit confusing to me.
You know what? I'm not. It should be. Well, in my opinion, Bashar left to avoid further bloodshed in the country. I'm gonna give him that. But what we've seen recently, because we talked about it before. Like, I don't want to like rehash the whole few months, but what we saw recently was a nice spin by a lot of quote unquote Western media. There have been different militias who have still been active in Syria since like things got like peaceful. A few weeks ago, HTS, the group that ended up kind of taking over the country, or at least Damascus, some HTS fighters did an incursion into northern Lebanon, but they were fought back. They were fought back by different factions in northern Lebanon. They do have some expansionist ideations, some of these groups, but and there have been like targeted killings and things like that of different minorities, namely. I'm going to say Alawi. I can't say Alawite. I can't do that. But in the media, they're going to say Alawite. I'm going to say Alawi because I can't be saying that because that sounds so just too English.
Alawite? I thought he was black though.
and also Bashar al-Assad was
all of the whites. Da, 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 da.
Bashar al-Assad was from the Alawi minority. They're about 10 to 15% of the country. There have been some targeted killings and like kidnappings and different, running different Alawi people out of their homes in the western coastal part of Syria.
Passive voice, Bam.
I think that I don't think that was that passive, but
people happen to die.
That's not exactly what I said. But yeah, there was a lot of that going on in the coastal. There was some of that going on in the coastal part of the region where a lot of Alawis live, Latakia, different cities, Banyas, and some other ones. And it got to the point where some of those Alawi people fought back. They were like, a lot of the media was leaving out everything that led up to those Alawi people like attacking an HTS military area base or whatever. They were just like making it seem like the Alawis just came there out of nowhere, and they kept on calling them Assad loyalists. And I'm like, they're not like trying to get Bashar back, dude. Like that's the same thing they used to say in Iraq. Like when somebody would fight against the Americans, at first it was like Saddam loyalists, and then eventually they just called them insurgents. So they fought back, and then there was like some fighting, and unfortunately what ended up happening is a lot of the Syrian fighters who are aligned with the current Syrian government really did like a damn near genocidal massacre on Alawi people in those regions. They killed.
That's the muddy. I mean, not muddy. Like that's the thing. It's like it makes it seem like all the people saying that Assad is perpetuating a genocide on its own people. It's like, I'm not sure if that's in 4K, but it's in like 2K.
No, yeah. So like these fighters from HTS, and they're not just from HTS. They're from a lot of different groups. They did a massacre. There was like at least 1,000 Alawis that were killed, and civilians. There was videos and pictures. I saw a lot of them. They were gruesome. Women, children, old people. A lot of the Alawi people who survived said that a lot of the people that were like ransacking homes and kicking them out and stuff like that were not Syrian. A lot of them were like Russian, like from Chechnya and stuff like that, Dagestani, like Central Asian and stuff. A lot of these people who like came to fight in Syria through Turkey, fighters that are backed by Turkey, just like HTS is. So yeah, it was really sad. Like it's not the, it's just unfortunate because this is really not the Syria from before 2011 at all. Like this stuff that's happening is like completely unheard of. Just to even think about like a bombing in Syria is like insane before 2011. Obviously the civil war was insane. And now that there's like some level of stability, I think a lot of the people were hoping that could maintain, but there are some rogue elements with weapons who are looking at Alawi people, really dehumanizing them, first of all, and thinking that their property and their lives are just we can do with them whatever we want. See how they're saying killed by pro-Assad fighters. I just don't I don't really agree with that, like them that labeling at all. But what are you gonna do? As of right now, in the last 2 minutes,
sorry, like just a quick soundbite. Like I know you kind of explained it, but because it's complex, why don't you agree with the labeling that even Al Jazeera has? Where I'm not going to play that because even though it was blurry, it was still kind of rough. These bodies, or should I say parts of bodies, are believed to be government forces killed by pro-Assad fighters. What would you change about that framing?
Well, it's hard to say that they're government forces because a few weeks ago they were just a militia backed by Turkey. If you're going to call them government forces now, like that's cute and that's fine. But to say that these people are pro-Assad, and it makes it seem like they're fighting for him. And I don't believe that. I think that they're fighting because they were getting hit because, we're not going to get into it like that, but like there's a lot of like ill will between like Sunni and Shia people. Alawis are like an offshoot of Sunni, but we're not going to get into that.
Members can check out BAM's History of Islam.
Yeah,
Part 1
but
of
it's not surprising hearing that from Al Jazeera. Not to say like I like Al Jazeera as a publication, but they don't have no love for Bashar. Like it is what it is. But I'll say this quickly. Today, the president signed. They like ratified a constitution, and there's a lot of different factions that are like fine with it. Recently, the Kurdish area, I want to say this is like last weekend, the Kurdish area said that they're going to be part of the government. They're not going to do like their autonomous thing anymore. They're going to become part of the government. Although I am reading that the Kurds are not really loving this constitution that much. We'll see what happens. None of that stuff is easy. I just hope that there's a path towards like a peaceful Syria again, and no more massacres.
Now that should hopefully not be controversial. Peaceful country, no more massacres.
I also don't think they're going to get their land back from Israel. Israel did some. Israel was like, "Oh, y'all are fighting each other again. We'll take that." And your boy Ahmed Shara, like I don't think he said one word about Israel yet. I don't know if he's going to.
What's that Doom lyric? That's 2 for you, 1, 2 for me.
You seem a little busy right now. Let me.
Like Israel's already occupying the Golan Heights. I think, and they took some more. I don't think they're going to get that back, and I don't even know like how much of an. I don't know how much of an enemy to Israel the current Syrian government is. I think we're going to be getting a peace treaty fairly soon.
Whoa! When you said that, my Siri woke up. They're listening.
I can't believe y'all actually have smart devices in your homes. That's crazy.
He's talking about his phone.
I'm talking about my phone, dog.
Yeah, even on my phone, I turned that off. But I thought you were talking about like like
crazy
a home
damn,
pod or
mine
whatever.
is off. It's still the crazy part. You think this is on? I don't use this.
Well, if
you thought you had a choice that you could just turn it off?
if we're doing power report from a Galaxy S4 in Louisiana next week, you know why.
Yeah.
This has been the show. It was worth it brick by brick. Pause. Thank you all for listening and watching the Severance show, the Severance series. We are in the last, I think this is a 10-episode season, so two more episodes. The latest one dropped 2 minutes ago. I'm gonna be watching that hoe. So will Ravana, and we will be doing coverage of that probably later on this weekend. So please check that out on the Audio Face channel. Actually, new music related Audio Face coming soon. More on that very soon. Caesar's cat is getting ready to sleep, so that means I am on overtime. And so, any last words?
Lula, come on, dog.
Yeah, Lula, get your shit to. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. And we will see you guys next week, inshallah.
See you guys. I'm gonna have some Tres Leches cake.
Ramadan
The great
Mubarak.
Ramadan Mubarak and the great Brazilian zip line. You know you want to. You can do it.
I love Tesla. I love Tesla. I love Tesla. Everything's computer.